Today we're having an actual resident from Orania, because everybody that normally wants to come and complain to me in the comments is not even from there, so it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me to have a proper conversation when people are just making up stories and they don't even live there. And if hi Richard came and left. Richard, we're doing Orania today. You call me Orania lady. Why did you leave?
Oh, perfect, because I put my earphones with a mic on it, so that should help.
So hi and welcome. Please just introduce yourself however you want to everybody and tell us where you stay and such things.
All right. I'm going to stay with my TikTok name
Okay.
for very specific reasons. So welcome everybody, and Celeste, thank you for having me on your live. I'm known as Yoli Patroli. I do live in Orania, and I've been living in Orania since October last year. And I'm open to questions. Please
Oh,
know that you will be hearing the truth of how we as citizens live, and I don't sugarcoat things. The truth will stay the truth, and I am also very cognizant of being on this live because unfortunately the minute you speak out, you're most likely to face a disciplinary and lose
okay.
your citizenship. But I'm past that. I think it's time that people really know the truth about how we live and what the day-to-day living is all about.
Okay. So first just tell us how you got to live in Orania. Like, did you have to go through a process?
Yes, I arrived in October, and firstly it was for medical reasons, and then I decided, okay, I like the farm life. Let me apply for citizenship, because you cannot live in Orania unless you've got citizenship. And that's a process where you apply online, or you can go to the town council or whatever they want to call themselves, Dorpsraad in Afrikaans,
Mm-hmm.
and you apply for citizenship, which you pay a fee for. You can apply on their website as well. And then you come for what they call oriëntering, which it's a, what was it?
Orientation for those who don't
Two.
speak Afrikaans.
Yeah, it's an orientation that lasts for about 2 days or 3, I can't even remember anymore. And in those days, you are first of all introduced to the origins of Orania, and then you are introduced to the structure of Orania and basically what Orania stands for.
Okay.
And then you get told why it's such a wonderful place to live in. There's 0% joblessness, and that we are not a racial town. We stand and believe in culture and language. It's like a heritage thing, and all sounds good in orientation, and then the shocker hits you when you start living here.
Okay. Right. So you said they tell you that the town it's not, race is not an issue, but it's about culture and language. So what is the Afrikaner culture? I'm going to say Afrikaner people in the comments. I know some of you don't like that word. You'll prefer me to say Dutch settler, but for today I'm going to say Afrikaner settler, Afrikaner, just so that it's easier to talk, okay? So what is the culture?
Celeste, that is why one of the biggest targets I have on my back, because when I arrived, let me just give you a little bit of background before I went for orientation and applied.
Okay.
A family member of mine lives here, and I asked her, give me a definition for Afrikaner, because, me, I like definitions because it then puts us all on the same page of understanding what it means. And when I asked her what's an Afrikaner, she couldn't give me a definition. So I said to her, oh, so our culture is a koeksister. And then she accused me of being demon-possessed. Yes. She got the security company of Orania to come and try and throw me out of town, and the pastor to come and pray for me because I'm demon-possessed. I don't hold the same ideology as the Oranians. And I'm going, what?
Because you asked the
Anyhow,
question. Because you asked what
I
is
asked
Afrikaner
the
culture.
question. Give me a definition for Afrikaner culture, because in my eyes, I'm a boer.
Right.
However, please understand, they have a difference in understanding of what's an Afrikaner and a boer. Now, a boer is somebody who trekked out of Cape Town, those in the 1600s or whenever, to get away from the English so that they could settle on their own. And these were Dutch, German, French. So there wasn't an Afrikaans language. Afrikaans is only 100 years old. But for me, I'm a boer. It's as simple as that. We're known for farming. We're known for hardship. We're known for all of those things. So I asked her, give me a definition for Afrikaans. And she said to me, no, she couldn't. So I said to her, and I made a joke. I said, oh, so your definition is a koeksister, pap en wors en braaivleis. That's our culture.
Which is very shallow.
And very, very. And then we went into the one thing that Orania propagates is that it's a town built on Christian values. Now, my other question was, okay, if we are so Christian orientated, explain one thing to me. Why is there a hilltop dedicated to our forefathers' sculptures? We're bringing in I don't know how many million rands worth of statue for the new Stadsplane, or what do you call it in English?
Town square.
Yeah,
Town square.
the town square. And there's one little white cross in the main road. So are you not being, you're now following idolatry principles? You are, everything is about the forefathers. Where's the Christianity and all of this? Yes, they have got Christian holidays, which is not always part of the South African holidays, but they have all this forefather holidays that is not part of the South African calendar. It's an Orania calendar. So you look at all of this and you wonder, what did I let myself into? Because what gets told to you, what you see on YouTube, what you get told at oriëntering or orientation is a pack of lies. Let me put it to you as it is. It's a pack of lies, blatant lies. I was told that if you want to work, there's work in Orania for everybody. I want to tell you that people are dying, not dying, crepering. I wouldn't know what that is in English.
Crepering.
Poverty.
Okay.
The poverty levels in this place is atrocious. And then they are bringing in this multi-million rand statue of Paul Creer. It's a replica of the one in Pretoria. To put in, and they're going to have a festival for it. does that not sound to you like an an
Yeah, I
idolatry
don't. Yes, yes.
festival?
Mm-hmm.
But we've got Christian principles. We've got Christian principles.
Okay. And then tell me how many non-whites are living there?
There are no non-whites living here, and there will never be non-whites living here.
And why is
For
that?
the simple fact is they say that you can only live here if your culture and your language complies to the Afrikaner culture and language. Now, I'm not a racist whatsoever, but I come originally from Johannesburg, went to Cape Town, lived there for many years. And when I lived and worked very closely with the colored community, and I can tell you they speak better Afrikaans than I do, and their
Mm-hmm.
Christian values are is phenomenal
Yes,
compared
yes.
to what I've experienced. Yeah, and I'm
Sorry,
going so
just give me 1 second. Okay, because a lot of new
sure.
people come. People, we're talking to a resident of Orania, you know, the town that's I'm always up in arms about. So just so you up to okay, thanks. Please continue, Yoli Patroli. Sorry about the other the you're talking specifically, I guess, about the colored people, May Mensa.
Jou mense, hulle is my mense ook.
Ja, wat
Because
vlot
I'm sorry
Afrikaans
to
praat en
say,
baie van ons, jy weet, ons praktiseer
and
die Afrikaanse kultuur.
you absolutely do. And I mean, I have seen Christian values in them where Christian values, yeah, hardly exist. If you're not part of the elite, then yeah, go krap jou eie potjie, because it's your own fault if you don't don't come right if you live in poverty. If you raise your voice, you get told, well, if you don't like it, you move. But what they don't realize is how many pensioners brought their whole pension here to settle down here and had to leave because they were financially broken. Because,
Okay,
number one, the housing is so
okay, yeah.
expensive.
Okay. And what type of housing is there? Do you
Um,
have to build your own house?
you can you can build your own house, or you can rent somebody else's house. Now, when I came in October, you couldn't find a house or a flat or anything to rent in Orania. There is now between 200 to 300 empty homes up for rent as the mass exodus is starting. There is over 40 families, and I understand it's actually more, but that's the last I heard about, that has applied for the refugee status in America. So if we are such a haven for Afrikaners, why are we immigrating?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And tell me about, because you were
And
talking about people living in tents.
when people arrive, a lot of them are people from outside that already suffers from poverty because they can't find jobs. And they come to Orania with the hope of finding a job because it's a white town. You know, everybody is promised you will find a job here. And, all the labor is done by our own hands and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people come to Orania to find jobs, just to find out, but there aren't any jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
the average salary is from 5,000 to 8,000 rand a month, where the Dorpsraad or the city councillor CEO, from what I understand, and I am speaking under correction, earns over 90,000 Rand a month.
Okay.
And yes, these salaries are paid by funders, of which one is Solidariteit, the union, and the other one is Orania Beweging that does fundraising for Orania.
Okay.
And then, of course, it's the common man in the street that donates to the Orania Beweging on a monthly basis. I'm going to give them 50 Rand a month, and so on and so forth. So, yes, that's how we are funded.
By Solidariteit and Orania Beweging. And then, but I heard that there are businesses there as well. So hi Roy Gevaar, sorry, hi everybody. Yeah, so how do those businesses that are there, right? Tell me a little bit like about who owns it and then who works there, and then like how does it work with the money and all that kind of stuff?
All right, so the majority of the businesses in Orania are mostly like restaurants, that kind of thing, that sells food. There are your odd ones that sells clothes. There are your, and of course, construction. That's, I think the biggest part would be construction. That falls under OOM. And yeah, they are the ones who decide what gets built where, and so forth and so forth. So it's mainly restaurants. There are small little shops, and the problem with this is that most of the people that sit on the directorship of the different boards, let me put it that way, of Orania, because there's so many of them, they own the businesses in Orania. For example, the one director owns a property selling company or an estate agency, and it belongs to his wife. So they talk about freedom of vrije mark.
Yeah, free market. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
There's no such thing.
Okay, someone here asked.
You can't afford to open it.
Okay, there's a question here. Someone asked, do poor Oranians who don't, or Oraniers, or I don't know how you call them, who don't own property, have a say in the town development?
Just say that again, who don't own property.
Yeah, poor Oranians who don't own property.
No.
Do they have a say in the town development?
All right, let me explain how that works. Now, if you do own property, which, by the way, you never really own it,
yeah,
because it's a share block scheme.
Right.
So you are a shareholder. You are the only one who is allowed to vote, not on the OVR level, which is like, let me draw an umbrella. Right at the top, the overarch is OVR. The umbrella under that is ORB, which is the share block entity.
Okay.
Now, if you do not own property, you are a non-shareholder. You're not allowed to vote. You're only allowed to vote at the OVR, which is the umbrella level. But for the ORB, making decisions on what happens in town, you are not allowed to vote. And that's about 85% of us.
Okay. So it's like a small percentage who is like controlling everything.
Correct.
Right.
And if you do open your mouth, do believe me, they will find a way to financially break you and push you out of town, or to put you on a disciplinary and then sanction you with a 10-year or whatever suspension of not being allowed to live in Orania. And they've done that. They've literally destroyed lives with that, because their sanctions are not, what's the word that we use?
You said in Afrikaans because I might be able to help you.
Yeah. No, it's when there's a precedent. If you give one sanction for a transgression, the next sanction must be the same than the previous one. So it's got to be, there's the word, it's got to be consistent. It's
Okay.
also got to be, the sanction needs to be fair to the transgression, which it's not. I mean, if you are the who's who of who, you do something wrong, your sanction is a slap on the wrist. Now let somebody who's not anybody do something in the same vein, they get sanctioned for 5 to 10 years that they're not allowed to live here. Now, where must they go when they've got no money?
Right. Okay, I've got someone who's also
That
now on the
answers the
panel
question.
who wants to ask you a question.
Yes,
Go
sure.
ahead, 441A.
Thank you, Celeste. I hope you're doing well on this Sunday.
Thank you,
I'm not
yes.
sure if it's still
Thank you, yes.
Sunday there where you are.
It's still Sunday.
But Yuli, it's still Sunday. Okay. Hi, Yuli.
Hi, Forheit.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. A little bit nervous, but
Don't be nervous. We all love you.
I can, I can totally see that based on what you've said now. So
Sorry, there's a lot of noise.
No worries. My question is, and it might be controversial, but it seems like you are actually somebody who we can get proper answers out of. So I want to ask you the question.
I will give you the truth. I have an old saying, and please, I know we are not to swear on TikTok, and I'm not going to, but it's a saying that I've been using for 40 years in my own profession. I work on facts, not effery.
Okay, Yuli, are you currently living in Orania?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you think that there's been I know there's been a lot of hatred towards Orania, and I think some of it is justified. Do you believe that it is a discriminatory project?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And let me give you an example of what I'm saying. Now, the main road runs right in through the middle of Orania from Hopetown to Petrusville. I think it's the R369 or something. And a whole lot of, that's a government road. So a whole lot of workers came to fix the road. Now, Orania is in the middle of nowhere. There's no hotels, there's no nothing. So one of the guest houses put up these workers of what they like to call volksvreemdes. In other words, they are not white.
Okay, volksvreemdes.
So they put them.
Folks
is anything but white.
Strangers that are folk strangers. That's what it translates to literally, but it just means if you're not anyone that's not white. Okay, because I have some foreigners here. Yeah.
Yes. So there was a huge upheaval because they were living in a guest house here to fix the road. And the citizens went ballistic, and I want to more say it's the shareholding citizens that went ballistic, that how can we have these people living in a guest house, walking amongst us. Our kids are not safe. They automatically assume that because you are not white, that you are, let me put it just, you are some kind of villain, or you're a scallum.
Die swart
But
gevaar.
they forget, they forget that they are harboring pedophiles, they are harboring abusers of GBV, they are harboring people that are guilty of fraud. And if I have to bring the fraud thing up, oh my genade, the thing that they threaten you the most with is naamskending. What's that in English, Celeste?
Non-scanding, like, isn't like persona non
Defamation.
grata?
It's defamation. There we go.
Oh, defamation, yeah,
Defamation
non-scanding,
of
sorry, yeah, defamation.
character. Yes.
So Yoli, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I think what you're touching on is very important because we don't hear about the things that happen in Orania. As the volksvreemdes, as the outlanders, we don't hear.
Yes.
But we did hear about the incident that happened on the 1st of April where the husband unalived his wife in front of their daughter.
Yes.
We did hear about that. Is crime in general something that doesn't exist? Because that's what we hear. We hear that this
No,
is
that's a lie.
it's this. Okay, can you maybe while you're talking about this, can you maybe elaborate on that?
All right. A while ago, there were a lot of car theft. There are people that, because they believe we live in safety, there are people that, they leave their things outside, all that kind of thing. People will lift like their grinders, their building material, and they walk away with it. You won't hear about those things. And you won't hear about the GBV. All right? Let me give you an example. And this is a personal one. I had to, what the city council uses as their policies is they use private and company law for their laws, but when it comes to disciplinary, they use the Labor Relations Act disciplinary process. So what happens is, say for example, and this has happened, a husband breaks his wife's jaw. That gets swept under the carpet. But a young girl of 20 years old who has been harassed, who has been bullied, who went to a carnival in Orania, and there's a thing about overselling, there's a ban on overselling alcohol. They oversold the alcohol, and then she snapped and smacked the other girl, and they put her on disciplinary. Her mitigating circumstances of having been bullied for a year and then snapped and smacking this girl was thrown out as mitigating, and they banned her for 10 years. This is a 20-year-old child that lives with her parents. Where must this kid go? So this is how they have interlinked their laws to such an extent that if you ask for something, their legal department comes for you at every single angle to make you out as a liar, to make you out as you are a troublemaker. By the way, I have got the biggest target on my back as a troublemaker. If I turn around, you won't even see me behind the target. But you cannot speak out about these things. You cannot say it's unfair. Another example, there is a restaurant with a French name. Then there's another business with an English name. That English business gets hit with fines, disciplinaries, and everything because they must take the English sign off, because English is an abomination in this town. But the French name can stay.
So much fair for the Afrikaner culture, right?
Yeah? How's that fair?
Yeah, no.
And I've even forgot what your question was, but does that answer it for you?
No, it does. And then a very, very quick final question from my side. So, based on the political discussion with regards to Orania, outside of Orania, we have the EFF that is vehemently against what goes on, and they say it's a racist town. But then you have, every now and then you'll see a video popping up of somebody saying, of a black person going into town and meeting with people that live there. Is this all like a smoke screen? Is it like paid advertising just to say, hey, look, we're not actually, we aren't, this isn't a racist town or a discriminatory a town.
Discriminatory.
Let me tell you this. Let me answer it for you. If that same journalist did not announce their arrival and just moved through the town and spoke to the townspeople, they will have a completely different view. But what journalists do is they want to speak to the elite. Do you think the elite's story is the same as the actual person that lives here? Do you think that journalist gets the opportunity to interview the citizens? Go look at the YouTubes. They interview the same citizens all the time. They do not go in and be left freely to go and ask questions wherever they want to. They get escorted by the security company of Orania. You can't just go anywhere as a journalist in this town. You will be followed. You will be watched. And they will only get the opportunity to be shown that this is how great this town is. So, yeah, if a journalist does not announce their presence and do their homework and not speak to the elite and to the real people, the story is going to be quite different.
Yoli, just please tell everybody about the squatter camps.
Now, obviously, there are the poorest of the poor, and there are areas for them. And a lot of times, obviously, this is Orania, so they have WhatsApp groups, and then you'll see a call for, we urgently need a tent for a family, we urgently need this, we need blankets, we need that, this, that, and the other. Now, I'm speaking under correction because I have not had the opportunity, to be honest, to go and find them. But my understanding is that there is a bushveld camp, which is very hard to see because it's in the flaky scroll side and amongst the trees. And then there's another one at the other side of Klein Geluk, and there's one in Kambroe. So all in all, there's 3 from my understanding. And I actually wanted to go out and go take pictures for myself so that nobody can say I'm a liar. Because that's the first thing they do. They make you out as a liar so that you don't believe them. And yes, the poor live in tents. And if I tell you that it gets -4 here and it is freezing cold, where? So, yes, that is my understanding of it. I've tried to Google it. I've just not had the opportunity to go and find it myself. And this is also word of mouth. I am speaking under correction.
Okay.
But I was told by citizens that have seen it that the poor people that live in these camps go at night to our dumping ground and go and scratch in the bags for food. Personally, I have not seen it, but I wanted to go and sit there and take photographs once again of people doing that. My understanding is that's how they survive.
Okay, Yoli, there's a few questions that people just want you to answer. Okay, so one is they
Sure.
ask, are poor whites taken advantage of in Orania?
She did answer that one just now.
Oh, yeah, she said, yeah, okay.
Yes,
Then,
they are taken on many moral advantages of. For example, the poor woman, and I'm going to say because that's what it is. It's poor women. They work in rich women's homes and they will be paid 50 Rand for the day. That's
huh?
another way they take advantage of them. They pay less than minimum wage, and you take it or you leave it. People take it because how do they put food on their table? Then, of course, when the Department of Labor wants to do an inspection, a notice goes out via the city council to say, listen, the Department of Labor is going to be here on Friday. What happens? All the construction companies send their employees home so that they cannot be interviewed. They cannot ask them about UIF, COIDA, because that's non-existent in Orania. And please, I am not saying that for every company. There are businesses here that do play by the rules. But I'm going to tell you that 95% of the businesses in Orania do not. They don't have UIF, they don't have COIDA, and 95 of the construction companies do not even have PPE for their workers.
Okay, so a lot of labor laws are being broken there. So someone wants to
Absolutely.
know, does Orania Security take the law into their own hands?
They do, in the sense that they give fines if they think you're speeding. The Dorpsraad or the city council will give businesses fines, astronomical fines, 8,000. Who can even afford that if you're only earning 5,000? And they will come and just walk into your home without a official court order and say they have to inspect your home, that kind of thing. So yes, on many levels, they do take the law into their own hands. They will give you a speeding fine, which is illegal, and try not to pay it. They will drag in front of a disciplinary and make sure your sanction is to get out of town.
Okay, and then one person asked, what prompted you to speak up?
Actually, I've been speaking up for a long time, but nobody's been listening.
Except me.
I mean, I remember, yes, you did. My first week in Orania, the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to start my own business. Now, this is how it goes. And my first question was, any business person, before you start a business, you would know, okay, have I got a market for my product? That's logic. And I asked, what is the turnaround of people in Orania, citizens? Immediately I was attacked, and I'm going, huh? I asked an innocent question because I wanted to start a business. I was attacked for being verdagmakend. I don't know how you say that in English. That is bringing suspicion on the town. I was accused of defamatory comments, because in my eyes, the minute I ask an innocent question, because it's actually for me so that I can do something with it, you get attacked. And I believe in that thing is, when somebody protests too much, what are you hiding? So yes, since I've been here, I've been made out as a troublemaker. I do not shut up, even though I've been threatened with so many things already. My tires get blown down at least 3 times a week. So, to the rim, by the way. So,
Okay.
yes, it's not been easy. I cannot find a job in Orania. I'm either too old or overqualified, but I know that's nonsense because already I've got the target. It's as simple as that. I mean, the CEO of the city council said to me once, he said it just like this: with tongue in cheek, I'm telling you, you applied at the wrong time for this position.
Okay, I just want to, Yoli, I just want to explain to everybody why you happen to be on here. Yeah, Roy
Sure.
Khafar is right. They will slander her. The thing is, because for those who know, who follow me, I'm always on Orania's case on different things, because I'm about the breaking of the property laws, the business laws, the constitution, exact, those things. And I get attacked 24/7. The things in my inbox, I even had to hire staff to read the filtered comments because I just couldn't take it anymore. It's just so ugly and horrible. And then my staff, at least they can read through it and they can sift through it and they can allow some of them for me to read, and then I will check whether I want to approve it. But many, they said they cannot allow me to see it, and then my life was getting threatened, etc. And then while this was going on and I was like just about to give up, I'm even getting goosebumps now. I got this message from, goosebumps, from Yoli, that she said, thank you so much for what you are doing, because there are so many things happening in Orania and it is not the place that people think it is. And then from there, we started talking to each other. And because I was like Anne here, who says hugs to you, Yoli Patroli, and she's so worried about your
Thank
safety.
you.
That's how I felt. When she was speaking to me, I was like, I could not say too much because, I don't want to put her in danger, but certain things she said I can, and then, I will, for those who know, I block out her name and things like that. But she has eventually said, the cat has to come out of the bag. So we thank you for being here, Yoli, and hugs from everybody and your safety. I'm sure everybody here is like rooting for your safety.
Thank you, because it is very much, I've accepted when you invited me to this live. I just said, you know what? I've always in my whole career believed in right and righteousness. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care who you are, what position you hold. I will stand up for what is right and righteous, even if I have to stand alone. And
Yes.
believe me, it's cost me a lot in my career, but in the same breath, I've had a lot of support from very, very strong people that said, you know what? You said exactly what needed to be said. So, and that's been keeping me going. Yeah.
Can I just ask, because I heard a tidbit of it when I first joined, but I don't think a lot of people were here. And I want to ask what Roy is asking. Yoli, what prompted you to move to Orania?
What prompted me, yeah, is in March last year. Understand that I'm actually a buitenlander according to them. In other words, I'm a foreigner. And last year I lived in Cape Town and I was a consultant for corporates. But last year, March, I broke my back in 3 places. And not being able to look after myself, being alone in Cape Town, I was then invited by a family member, which I now don't deem as a family member, after I was told I'm demon possessed and I was thrown out of the cottage that she offered me to live in and wanted me out immediately and escorted by OVD, not just out of the town, out of her house, but out of her cottage, but out of Orania. So that's how I landed up in Orania. It wasn't my first choice, but that's the only distance I could drive at the time after having my back operation. And yes, I still have 2 vertebrae that needs to knit. They could only fix one, so in essence, I'm actually disabled, but nothing wrong with the brain. Nothing wrong with the brain.
I want to say to you, Yoli, I take my hat off to you. Like it seems being brave and speaking up for what is right is is frowned upon these days. It's not just with Orania, it's with everything. If you speak up for the Palestinian cause, you're called anti-Semitic. If you speak up for for other causes, then you're called this or you called that. It's sad. It really is sad that people are ostracized for doing the right thing. Um, you know, I've been called anti-white just because I don't believe that white people are oppressed. That type of logic that they apply to, just saying, just not wanting to sit by and turn a blind eye or put your head in the sand. It's disgusting, frankly.
I'm honest and I agree with you, Forheit. Um, they try very hard to say that we are different, but for a family member that I grew up with, and we're a very close family, that I grew up with to tell me that the Bible says that we are born racist. And I'm going, what? Where did you fall out of the bus? And when I promise you, I didn't even get out of my car yet when she said to me, welcome in Orania, where you won't see a K inside. And I said, excuse me, are you allowed to use that word? Yes, of course, the whole town uses it. And I'm going, well, let me just tell you, I'm not a racist. I will not be using that word. And then things just evolved to a point where I was called, I think I'm God, because I take on people where they are being unfair, unjust. And literally, she got the security company to throw me out of the cottage and also wanting to escort me out of town. Well, obviously, they didn't win that one. I'm still here. And I see that one person asks, why don't I just leave? Well, that I had to use all my savings that I brought with me, and I'm unable to leave because of financial constraints. And with not being able to get a job, there's no ways you can save and say, let me get out of here. If I can get out of here tomorrow, I'm gone. But you know what? I also believe I was put here for a reason. And if the reason is that I need to speak out to assist 85% of the rest of the citizens that are oppressed, and this is the worst for me, we are doing it to our own people. And if that is what it is, that is why I'm here, then so be it. I've just given myself over to what must be, but keeping quiet is not in my nature. It's not in my character. It's never been. For 40 years. I've never been able to be silenced, no matter what the cost was to me.
Sorry, Yoli. Okay, I want you to clear this up again because there's new people that came in, so they don't know. Because this person here, Colin, said, I've been called racist for supporting the existence of Orania. So I'm going to ask Yoli a few questions and then you see why people would call you a racist. So, Yoli, what is the Afrikaner culture again?
If anybody can answer that for me, I'll answer it for you. But if festivals honoring Afrikaner boere, then that's the Afrikaner culture. I always say it's a koeksister. And
Right,
quite
okay.
frankly, a koeksister is not Afrikaner culture. It doesn't even come from us.
Right. So now tell me.
There's no definition for me.
Four, right. And Afrikaners, are they like I'm supposed to be Afrikaner, right? My father's Afrikaner, but because I'm colored, so
Yes.
yeah. But so would I be accepted to stay there, being a colored?
No.
No. You see why we say it's racist? So
Let me give you a
how
good
many black people are
example.
staying there? How many non-white people are staying there?
0. Let me give you a good example. On the website, they say we've got a hospital. Our only doctor is actually now immigrating to the US. Another female doctor applied to be the doctor of Orania, but because she adopted a black child, they showed her down. They did not approve her to come work here. So the only doctor we have is the government doctor, which you can wait a very long time for to see, because every single person in this town, no, correction, only the elite, but 85% of this town does not have a medical aid and has to use government clinic, which we have here. So imagine one little doctor, and she's lovely, having to manage all these people and all their stuff. And now to just give you an idea how big the target on my back is, because of my back and other things, other medical conditions, I also get my medication from the clinic. But do you know that I get shortchanged on my medicine? That it's not for a month. I'll get half a month and then I get told, no, your next prescription is only due the end of the month. And now I'm talking about being a diabetic, all that kind of thing. I get shortchanged. This is how far they go to do these kind of things. And
Okay.
I see Roy Gevaar asks, Boshoff related to Karel? Karel is Karel Boshoff.
Karel, okay, yeah. And then the haters are already here. JP says to me, you keep on hammering on Orania. Maybe you ran out of content or you want to inflame racial tension. So I don't know if this is inflaming racial tension or if it is highlighting issues that people in Orania are experiencing, and whether it is a good thing that we are listening to what Yoli is saying so that we can support people like her, or is it, you know what I'm trying to say? So you guys have to help me here in the comments. And Yoli, what do you think? Are we inflaming racial tension here? I'm colored, you white. We are talking racial tension.
Yes, this is dialogue. And this is what I've always been saying on the groups of Orania, is let's have mature dialogue of all the things that is wrong. You get attacked. Now this whole live stream is not to raise racial tension. It's not. It's to tell the truth. And it's not for racial tension, because I am not a racist. If I was a racist, I could turn this into racial tension. My argument is, why can somebody that has not got Afrikaner background, who was raised in an Afrikaans school, worked on an Afrikaans, their parents worked in Afrikaans households, they know nothing other than Afrikaans. They don't even speak African languages. Why can't they live here as well?
Okay, Raymond has joined the group.
So how's that racial tension?
Yeah, out of the mouth of an Afrikaner, okay? That's an Afrikaner. Well, a boer, right? I don't know how you identify.
All right, there I see JP is saying Afrikaner culture is moral value and integrity.
Oh, then I have it.
Let me give you...
I have it. I have value and integrity. I have it. I'm an Afrikaner.
But
Yes.
also,
now, let me answer JP. JP, explain to me how this is culture and integrity. When the, and I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to be hit with defamation. When the head of the financial institution of Orania approves his own loan, buys up all the small houses that was built for poor people that was selling at 50,000 rand per person, per house, then sells it at a profit, buys himself a strandhuis or a beach home, and then gives 150 rand or 125, 150,000, I'm under correction, to the church that he belongs to. How's that integrity? Explain it to me. Is that Afrikaner integrity? That sounds like the ANC to me.
Okay, I just want to quickly, I'm a white Afrikaner, okay? I grew up in a conservative Afrikaans community in Pretoria. I know how things like GBV, child abuse, I'm going to say abuse, how these things yeah, you got to use the TikTok safe language, how these things are covered up by those communities. So I just want to, I'd love to know from JP, how exactly is covering up something like GBV or child abuse, how is that part of is that Afrikaner culture? Because that's what you seem to be saying, is that, oh, we can look past it because that's part of our culture. And now I'm going to tell you, as a white Afrikaner myself,
I think you're missing the point.
No,
I
just
think
hold on, Raymond. Just hold on, please. That is, if you are saying that is part of my culture, and we should just look past it because we're Afrikaners, or that is they're looking after the culture, then I'm telling you, you're a bad person. You are a person that perpetuates that type of crime. You're a person that perpetuates that's those stereotypes.
Can I read what it says, what Afrikaans culture is? Well, I can, I'm the host. Okay, Afrikaner culture is a unique South African culture primarily associated with Afrikaans speaking people of European descent. So it's a white thing, okay? Particularly those with Dutch, German, and French Huguenot ancestry. It is characterized by its own language, Afrikaans, and its strong historical ties to Calvinist Protestant Afrikaner culture. Protestant. Afrikaner culture also encompasses a strong emphasis on family, hard work, self-reliance, and a distinct sense of hospitality. Okay, so you see, when I am reading all of that, it means that race is a big part of being an Afrikaner. And my issue always is then that if race is a big part of Afrikaner culture, then that would mean it's a racially exclusive culture. And according to our constitution, we cannot, racial exclusivity is no longer legal. That is always my thing.
Can I just ask you something? Those definitions that you've now read out, do you fit into that?
No, I'm not white. My father's white, but I'm not white.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is,
it's fine, but that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying that the Afrikaans culture is a white culture, which means it is exclusive, which means in South Africa, it cannot exist because it is it's racial exclusive, and it is in our constitution. If it was not in the constitution, fine.
It's going to exist. There's nothing, constitution or no constitution. The fact of the matter, it's going to exist.
It can exist, but it cannot exist as it is now, standing now. It's like with the Muslims, Sharia law exists.
Let me just ask you,
but we cannot
let me ask you a basic thing. The people in America, those Amish people that don't live with, they don't have electricity, they've got those.
I know the Amish people because I have friends who are Amish and they are black.
Why are they not being attacked? Why are they not being attacked by
Because they
by
are
the
not
by,
racially exclusive. I have Amish friends who are black. It's not racially exclusive. You know, there's also Amish in South America a lot, and most of them are non-white. Amish is
but the
not a
consti-
racially exclu.
but the con-
It's not a
the
race.
consti-
It's not a
but
race. It's a
the
religion.
constitution also guarantees you, first of all, freedom of expression.
Yes, I understand. I know all of this. There's
And
nothing
the
you can tell me
constitution
about
guarantees
self-determination. I
the
know.
constitution also guarantees minorities their
Yes, I
rights.
know all of this, but the Constitution also says that self-determination, it's only linguistic and culture. It cannot be race and religion because the self-determination has to be within the framework of the Constitution.
You know
So
what is
racial
but you know
exclusivity
what
is
is
outside of the framework
you
of the
know what is
Constitution.
this lady's first problem, Jolly Patrolli, that if she spoke only Afrikaans and she goes there and she fits in and she wears uh, khaki clothes or whatever, then there wouldn't have been a problem. Then it wouldn't have been a problem.
But she's not just talking
I
about
was,
herself. You just arrived. You don't know what was spoken on before. She was talking
but
about
let me
the
but let me tell
GBV and
you
all
something.
that stuff.
I studied at the Rand Afrikaans University, which I think they wasted a lot of money by changing it to UJ. They should have just called it Rand African University. I was excluded because of my surname.
Yeah,
They
well, that's
said
not my problem because, okay, I'm not talking about that. I want to stick to Orania now. So let's stick to Orania. The two things that her and I are highlighting. She is highlighting the human rights violations that are going on there, like labor laws, things like that. And I highlight the undermining of the Constitution. That's all I'm interested in talking about. And only about Orania. That's what I don't want to hear about other
But
things. Let's stay focused.
are you an expert? Are you an expert
Yes.
on the Constitution?
Yes. Yes.
So why don't you take this matter to the Constitutional Court?
Yes, we are
If the
going
Constitutional
to.
Court,
We
listen,
are going
if the
to.
High Court or the
Yes,
Constitutional
yes,
Court
yes,
can
we are
condone,
going to. Yes, we
no,
are
but
going
listen,
to.
if they can condone,
Action
if they can
SA
condone,
and EFF are going to do that. They're actually in the
yes,
process.
but if they
Yes,
can
don't worry,
condone
we're
a
there.
song like "Kill the Boer, Kill the
Yeah,
Farmer,"
off
you know
topic.
what? This
Off topic.
Constitution is fucked up,
Off
man.
topic. Off topic. That
It's
one
rubbish.
is. We spoke
Like
about
a
that the other night.
Constitution
You
that's
were not
buggered
here.
up.
We spoke about that the other night. You were
No,
not here. We spoke
doesn't
back.
matter.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't
now we're
matter.
talking about Orania. This is my
Move on with your
live
life, man.
stream.
Move on with your
Let
life.
me talk about Orania. Okay, what is this
Move on
person
with your
saying?
life.
Can I read the comments? Okay, sorry, but sometimes things happen like this. It's very difficult for me to control when people go off topic. Let's try to stay on topic. Guys, we will be talking about the Kiss the Boer maybe tomorrow, okay, again, because we didn't finish the other day. Okay, JP, okay, wait, sorry. Let me just do the comments. I don't want to leave people out. It's information here. Okay, wait. Sorry. Guys, just give me a moment, please. Don't shave the whole world under the same comb. I know that there are bad people in all cultures. Okay, ask them about GBV stats by race and watch them crash out. Yeah, no, we are not here about GBV stats. We're talking about Orania and Orania GBV. Afrikaners is plesierig, dit kan jy my glo. Sounds like it was written by Joost from Orania. Hey, leave Joost out. Joost is a mooi seentjie. That's just me. But he is good looking. Okay, and it's beautiful. We all have a life. We don't mix. Okay, yeah. Sam says they don't mix. But my father mixed. He was quite happy. It is not exclusive. Do you expect anyone to change their culture to adapt to others? Yeah, I changed my culture. Orania also does criminal background checks before allowing residents. Yes. You people always have been hostile. Yes. She has shares in the cabinet. Yes. Maybe I have. Who knows? Talking about exclusive, do you think the Zulu, no, that wrong live stream? Okay, right. Any other questions, people, related to Orania?
I just want to say, Raymond comes in, oh yeah, we've got a right, freedom of association, freedom of religion, we've got the right to self-determination, but those things do not trump things that like discrimination, which is illegal.
Thank you.
That is the clear distinction. You have these rights, but you don't. But it doesn't trump some things like discrimination.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Um,
Or,
yeah,
or
Sams, it's me
or the
again.
labor laws or our laws. It has to work within the framework of our
Absolutely.
national laws. So they cannot, like, they're doing things that are against labor laws, against the human rights laws.
Yeah, I just would like to know from these white supremacists in the comments. You know, you are fervently defending Orania here, but if you what about the poor whites that are taken advantage of in Orania?
Yep.
Are you not standing up for them?
Thank
Because
you for asking that, Fahad. Thank
so
you.
so like I wanna see, why are you so hypocritical? Is it because they are poor? Do you see them as less, even though they are white? Because I
Exactly.
mean, sure, then you're not just racist, you're classist as well.
Yeah. It's like they're just slaves. They're just there to work for
It is
everybody.
slave labor.
Yeah,
It's
there you
slave
go.
labor to the elites.
There you go. Someone said we are talking about Orania. Don't come with racist. Yes, that's right. They don't care about poor. Yeah, they don't care about poor whites. That's why she said only like the majority. They don't have much say, right? Yoli, you said that.
100%. We, as non-shareholders, we have no voting rights. We have got no say. It's only the shareholders, which is a minimum because you can't afford property here. And if you are a non-shareholder, it's shut up or move out. Period.
Yeah.
I like Colin's comment here. He says, we like hardworking people, which is the richer group of people. So you telling me a poor white that is taken advantage of for their labor is not a hardworking person? What kind of logic is that, Colin? You keep
It's privilege
speaking from
logic.
this
It's
point of
privilege
privilege. You
logic.
keep speaking from this point of privilege, and frankly, it's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. Why don't you just say, well, all poor people should go live separately to the people who have means? Why don't you just come out and say, why don't you be a little bit brave, Colin? Because we are sick and tired of racists and classes that hide behind this little, oh, you should pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or you should just work a little harder. Why don't you just come out and say, I am proudly racist and classist? Come on, show us you have balls.
Okay, can
There
I
we
just
go.
read something
Thanks,
here? Let
Fahad.
me just read. Can I just read something here? Okay, because I asked, can a town, any town in South Africa override the constitution? This is what it says. No, a town in South Africa cannot legally override the constitution through self-determination. While Section 235 of the South African Constitution recognizes the right of self-determination for the South African people as a whole, it does not allow for the fragmentation of the country or the overriding of the constitution. Section 235 acknowledges self-determination within the framework of the constitution. And the provision emphasizes that the right of self-determination for the South African people does not preclude recognizing the right of self-determination for specific communities, but this is to be done, again, within the existing constitutional framework. So there we have it. That's our law. I didn't make it up. So those
SA
people,
Citizen has got a very, very interesting question. Sorry, Fahad.
that's fine.
How is Orania affecting us?
A
You
lot.
know what? If it can be allowed, yeah. It can be allowed anywhere, to any culture, race, creed, religious. It can be allowed. And let me tell you, there's no difference from this to slavery, to colonization. There's
And
no
apartheid.
difference.
And apartheid, because it's
and
separateness.
apartheid.
It's separateness.
Exactly. And
I've made
the
a
worst of it
video.
all is, where
Sorry,
is
go ahead.
our moral values?
Mhm.
What moral values? Where are they?
Yep. Actually, I made a video about saying we just for funsies, we said, okay, let us colored people also have our own, let's self-determine. So of course coloreds, because it includes Cape Malays. So we're gonna have our own town, and it's gonna be a Muslim only town and colored Muslim only. So we will have to do it with DNA testing, because there's so many mixed people in the world, but we specifically want only those with Khoi and San and Malay genetic markers. And then we're going to implement Sharia law. So all our women are going to be totally undercover, like ninjas, and women are not going to be allowed to go to school. No girl can go to school, females, all that stuff. Because we can because I know in our constitution we cannot gender inequality is not allowed, right? And but since the precedent has been set in Orania, then why can't we do it? Why not? And the same, the LGBTQIA plus alphabet people, they can do the same thing. They can say we only want gay people here, and they must be fabulous looking, and all that kind of stuff. Why not?
You know what the difference is, that white people will have the biggest outrage if something like that had to happen.
Exactly.
Somebody mentioned, somebody was in the comments saying, "Oh yeah, but the Zulus, they have their own little paradise in
They are not racially exclusive. They are not racially.
A lot of that.
I can read it for you. Where is it?
But sorry, Celeste, just before you do, a lot of that land is rented out, leased out to white farmers. They are not racially exclusive.
Yes, they're not. It's not
The key
allowed.
difference.
It's not
That's the key
allowed.
difference.
Where is it now? I have it here. It's not racial, and I know because my brother owns land there. How can it be racially exclusive? He was allowed to buy land. Okay, and you can continue while I'm looking for the facts here.
Castro said, if it's allowed to continue, what stops a cult from creating their own little cult state? They're already trying. The folk start, it's an open secret that Orania was the starting point. They want to create a folk start from Orania all the way to the west, to the west coast in the Northern Cape.
Correct.
They want to create their own little state.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
an open secret. There is documentation that they've put out themselves with the plans to create this folk start.
Correct.
Yes, continue. Yeah, I'm looking here. I have I've covered all of this on my my channel and my live streams, because this is we do this 24/7. But you guys continue while I'm looking for the Zulu land thing. Yeah. No, okay, yeah. There is racial exclusivity. The only place where there is racial exclusivity in South Africa is Orania. I don't know about Clayfontaine that much, but it's Orania. And why I have an issue with it, before I heard of all the stories Yoli is telling me now, before it was mainly because I am anti the government corruption. Because for me, the fact that Orania can undermine the constitution is blatant corruption. Because if it was in any country, I've asked many people in many countries, if this would have been allowed in their country, especially if it is illegal under the constitution, they said, of course not. Our government would have been in there immediately. So to me, I'm more concerned that the ANC can do things like that, because I think the investors, and someone said they're more interested in the investors, like the Flakies, the Flakies share block company that owns it, right? Flakies aandele block company. Yeah, Flakies Kraal, right? For sure, those people and our ANC, there's something going on there. For sure, something is going on there. And while we are getting distracted by oh, self-determination, yeah, 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 yeah. They are going happily, you know, because the elites, they all, when it comes to money, there's no color of skin. It's just money, color of money. This was my first issue with it. My second issue is when she reached out to me. She reached out to me because there are people living there. And if this is how they're being treated and getting away with it, it's not, how can I sit trying to be this moral person, this Christian person with values and just ignore the suffering of other people? If you can be like that, good for you, but I'm not like that. So stop asking me, how does it affect my life? It affects my life because I'm a moral person. Well, trying to be one. Okay,
You know
please
what?
continue.
Celeste, you don't even need to justify it because it is. They are so bothered with people speaking out, regardless of who's speaking, regardless if it's a black, a color, or a white person speaking out about it. If it challenges their ideologies, and when I say ideologies, their white supremacist ideology, if it makes them a little bit uncomfortable that people are saying this is actually wrong, it bothers them so much that they'll come and sit here and say, why do you speak about our community? Why do you speak about our culture? Why are you sitting here listening if you are so bothered? And why are you sitting in the comments? Why not come in onto the panel and if you want to come and debunk here on the panel? But you are a coward. You are a bunch of cowards sitting in the comments. That's all it is.
Okay, let me bring in
All
Roy
right.
Gevaar.
Thank you.
There, Yoli is explaining what is happening, and people is like, phew.
Hello.
Hi, Roy Gevaar.
Hello. How are you doing? Excellent. Question for Yoli. Yoli, I want to ask you, it is relating to the GBV question that Bianca asked earlier about how women are treated in Orania. I wanted to know do vulnerable women like the poor women who live in the Onderdorp side and in the shanty towns, are they used as how shall I call it, girls of the night? You know, are they doing schmexual favors to the rich people? So the rich guys over there, like to have a roof over their heads.
Roy Gevaar, I will be very honest with you. I can't answer that question because I have not heard rumors or seen anything like that. As I said from the beginning, I like to deal in truth and facts and not effery. So I cannot comment on that because I haven't heard those rumors. There's been no talk about it. But with all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if it is going on. So that's the best answer I can give you.
Okay.
I don't have facts for something like that, and I have not heard rumors of that.
No, thank you very much for your honesty. I mean, it would have been nothing for you to just lie about it now,
Yeah.
but say that it is happening. So I really do appreciate your honesty, and I do appreciate
I
you
will
speaking
only
up
tell you
about.
of the things that. Thanks, Roy Gevaar. Sorry for interrupting you. I will only tell you of the things that I have personally experienced, which I have facts for, and that I know is happening. I'm not going to thumbsuck. I am not going to make people bad because people think I have a gripe. That's not what it is. All I want is the truth, and I want people to know that what you are being told out there is not what is happening in here. The suffering of and let me put it the way it is. The suffering of the white Afrikaner in Orania is worse than their plight in South Africa itself. And that is the truth.
Again, thank you very much for your honesty, and that was basically my only question. And I just want to say that because it's such a personal thing, you know, I don't think that people will talk about it out in the open, so you won't really hear about it. But I will also not be surprised because I know the dynamics that exist between rich people and poor people. And, I've seen it in everywhere that I've lived and worked and everything, that men tend to abuse the fact that they are financially better off to get women to agree to certain things. And, so I won't say it is a definitive thing that is happening over there, but it is speculation. I think that it would be the same there as in the rest of South Africa. But thank you very much, and have a blessed day, and God bless you for
Yeah,
just speaking up.
being
Thank you very
brave.
much.
Thank you,
Yoli?
Roy. But I will add one thing that is a rumor. And please, people, there is a disclaimer to this. It's a rumor. It's
Okay.
not a fact. I do not have evidence. But there is a rumor that at the elite level, wife swapping is going on.
I'm not surprised. Anyone else surprised? Put it in the comments. I'm not surprised. While we're waiting for the comments, Yoli,
They
can
are
you?
the swingers club. The elite is the swingers club, and it's a rumor. Please, it's a rumor. I
The
do not
rumor,
have
yeah.
facts on that. Yeah.
And just tell everybody about the young people. What are the plights for young people, and also the demographics? Like how many is more young people, sharing is caring. Young people, old people, children, and then what is life like there for the young people?
Well, the young people are mostly made up out of students. Solidarity has built a college here for, the construction industry, a technical college, I want to call it, and for nursing. So I would say that the students are more than the actual residents. And there's no life for students. They have complained about there's no nightlife really for them because, they are supposed to be students. They are supposed to be working for the contractors that are building the infrastructure of Orania to get their practicals. They've got 1,000 hours to get their red seals. And everyone, I want to say 99% of them, if you ask them, will you ever come settle in Orania? The first thing they'll say is, the minute I get a job outside of Orania, I'm gone. So, and mostly we are made up of students, and then of course the families that live here, which is, I want to nearly say that 60% of the families has now applied to take the immigration thing to the USA. We have gotten a mass exodus in Orania. As I said, in October last year, you could not find a home or a flat or anything to rent. There is now 200 to 300 homes standing empty. What does that tell you?
And what about, do you think there's the way the children are growing up, do you think there's a kind of an indoctrination? Because, you are all living in this community where everybody looks the same, you have to believe the same thing, you have to have the same culture, you speak the same, everything just same. And, and then is there the same kind of ideology? And what is taught about non-white people?
All right. The first thing, I'm just quickly going to answer Castro's question. No, there are no other cultures or other races except whites going to these colleges. That's number one. Number two, my biggest concern. Now, I've raised 3 children as well. My father was Scottish and my mom was Afrikaans. So my basic home language was Afrikaans. But as you can hear, I'm very trilingual. And I believe that I'm going to raise my kids. My ex-husband is also Afrikaans. And we made a joint decision to send our kids to English schools. Because the minute they step out of our home, they're going to go into a business world that is English. in Orania, you get education in Afrikaans and a little bit of English. The biggest injustice you can do these kids is to let them only speak Afrikaans. They are going to be lost in the business world the minute they step out of this area, and there's nothing for them here. They will not be able to build professions. There's nowhere for them to go, so they are going to leave. But their curriculum at varsity is going to be English. They're going to fail their first year. They are not ready for what is waiting for them outside, because they still think they can ride their bicycle in the middle of the night, because it's such a secure town. We are doing the biggest injustice to these kids, because half of them are homeschooled, and already there's a huge issue with these homeschooled kids running around in these streets, not being educated. There's no control because both of their parents are working. The others that can afford it is going to the private school or whatever you want to call it, yeah, and their curriculum is basically in Afrikaans. Even the college, their whole curriculum is in Afrikaans. It's an injustice to these kids who has to face the world out there when they hit English. Half of them cannot comprehend in English. They can only comprehend in Afrikaans. Now, in my younger years, I used to work as an executive director for a private university, and the first thing that you are taught is that somebody who cannot comprehend in another language is not going to make it. They have to be, they must be able to comprehend in a different language rather than just their mother tongue, whether it be Zulu, whether it be Afrikaans, whether it be Xhosa. You need to have a solid foundation in English, because that is what the business world exists of. So for me, we are doing a huge injustice to these kids for making them believe that the world is a safe place, that Afrikaans is the only language that counts, and they get indoctrinated into this Afrikaner culture, which, as I said, I still don't know what it is. It's a koeksister.
Right.
And what happens to these kids when they leave this town? And guaranteed 100%, they are going to leave this town. What happens to them when they hit the wild world out there? It's an injustice to them.
Yeah. So somebody asked a question here. I think it's Castro. He says, Yoli, are you saying that Orania is dying a natural death with the amount of people immigrating?
Yes, it is. I have given it a maximum of 2 years. Then this will be a ghost town.
Yeah, I don't even think it's going to last 2 years, because...
No, I don't think so either. If I looked at what happened from October to now, which is what, 9 months later?
9 months, yeah.
Half of the residents has left already. So,
and I just think
legally
it's going to become an issue, because I also want to say too much, but there's a lot of buzz around the legality of, and because there's now this awareness that it's setting a precedent, and there is concern that other communities would want to do the same, and there's the biggest concern is the Islamic community. So that is why I think things are going to change, because, like I said, there's a lot of concerns going on at the moment, which I cannot talk too much about.
Can I ask a question about education? But before I do that, I just want to point out this comment from Colin. Colin says slavery isn't bad. It's just survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's just the quality of the white supremacist of today. Anyways,
Yeah,
Yoli,
that's why I
like,
just ignore it because I don't want to get myself into a mood.
yeah, I want to speak a bit about education. I know that they follow what is that private education curriculum? Is it
Yes, it's
GBE
a
or
private one,
something?
and I can't remember what the name for it is, but yes, it's driven definitely
But
on that.
obviously they can't teach their own curriculum, because obviously those kids need to still write a matric, and matric is not, it's not the, they don't control what matriculants write about. But my question is, do they insert certain things into the education that kids receive in Orania? Maybe like the whitewashing of history. I'm thinking maybe like the glorification of apartheid, or the glorification of those kind of things, where they make it look like these atrocities that we know happened. They justify it, or such.
Yes, they do. The short answer is
They're
yes, they
indoctrinating the
do.
kids. So they essentially indoctrinating these kids. They are not giving these, yeah, they are not giving these kids any hope for the future.
Kumkani.
No, they're not. What they are hoping is that the education that they give here is going to grow the town eventually, and these kids will be the future of the Afrikaner culture. But what they don't realize is these kids has got to write matric. They do not give engineering, all your scientific subjects, or anything like that at this technical college. Where are these kids going to get those skills? They're going to go outside and get the skills there, and guaranteed those kids are never going to come back, because the salaries are not going to match what they can get out there. So now they're going into the wide world, being indoctrinated, and it's like Celeste said, it's a culture shock. It's an absolute culture shock. They will fail. But yes, your question the short question to your answer is yes.
Thanks, Yoli. Can Celeste, I believe
NYC wants to come up, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know NYC, so before you come up, just please remember no swearing here, okay? Because I've never seen you before. Okay, I'm bringing NYC up.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, NYC.
How's it, guys?
You have anything to say or to ask, NYC?
I want to say I'm not Afrikaans, but I can speak a little bit of Orania. I know they have to comply with the OBE system.
Okay.
They have changed it. They've raised their standards from a 35% pass rate to a 55% pass rate, which I think I don't see fault in that. If they do fail a class, they will apparently at the cost of the state. Again, I don't see any wrong with that. It's a place trying to preserve Afrikaans culture and Afrikaners. Without that state, people are worried that the Afrikaans will just mix with everybody else, and there will not longer be an Afrikaner. Now there's a debate that coloured see themselves as Afrikaners because that's their mother tongue, and so these people see. Well, their debate is on the right. Maybe is that they are the original Afrikaners, and Afrikaans is just a language, but Afrikaners is actually a people. Hence, Orania, exclusively for white Afrikaners. On paper, that's what they're saying. On paper, I don't see anything wrong with it.
That is, I think that is why
I don't
we
even know
haven't.
what to say because it just...
Yeah, I think
We've
this
just
is why
been
we.
through that for the past hour already. We've just been discussing that.
Yeah, that's a conversation that we're having here in NYC. Is we're talking to somebody who lives in Orania, so we're talking about the things that we don't see, as you correctly pointed out, on paper. We don't see we only see what is
On
what they
paper.
what they let us see. So sure, preservation of Afrikaner culture, sure, but we're talking about how people are being mistreated in Orania and basically the propagandized Orania, because that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the propagandized.
You're seeing all the nice things.
Yeah, you're not seeing the white squatter camps. You're not seeing the way that
The human violations.
yeah,
Yeah, no, but they don't shy from it either. There was a movie, it was called Orania. I don't know if you guys actually watched this movie. It's about a kid who was a bit of a fuck up or a bit of a bugger up. And,
Sorry,
he
no
was a
swearing here,
druggie.
please.
Sorry, my apologies. He was a bit of a druggie or whatever, and his mom sent him to Orania so he can come right. And yeah, he did not live a nice life. He lived in a shithole, basically, and had to
Okay,
work
yeah. The
for
thing
shit
is,
wages.
the thing you are not seeing at Orania, because no one wants to talk about this. Like from my point, no one talks about the legality of the place. And then second of all, what Yoli is here for today is to show us what the realities of living there is, all the kind of human rights violations. Again, a lot of things are illegal because it goes against labor law, it goes against just the things from human rights violations. Oh, where did I write that? Okay, just one that I remember from my head. I need to find the page. Is labor law, because they have disciplinary laws in there. They have things that is unconstitutional. That is what we're talking about. We're not, because that when you see them, like you say, on videos about Orania and all that, of course they're only going to show all the nice things, how die blink kan bo, as us Afrikaners would say. But they're not talking about the actual things. I say as Afrikaner because my father's Afrikaner, so today I'm an Afrikaner. You know, because when you're colored, you can just be whatever you want to be. Okay.
Nice.
I see. Sorry, what was your question? Because I had an
You
answer
had
for
no
you
question.
on that. Now it's gone out my head. It was a statement. What were you saying?
NYC, what did you say?
When?
Or do you
Now
have a
before
question? Maybe you
Celeste
have a
answered.
question.
I didn't have a question. I was stating that
You were saying
there's an
it's a,
argument on the left and the right that they want to preserve Afrikaans culture, and on the other side, South Africans are saying, colored South Africans are saying, well, it's our only language, and we're also Afrikaners as much as you are. But now they're saying they want to preserve white Afrikaans culture.
you know what it sounds like.
oh yeah, he's
It
just
doesn't-
he's just making a statement. He's not answering a question. Okay, yeah, I
No,
appreciate
but ask the question.
NYC.
Sorry, guys, I never got asked it.
Can I quickly in NYC? You know what it sounds like to me? It doesn't sound like the preservation of Afrikaner culture. It sounds like the intention to keep the status quo. And this is not just keeping the status quo between racial divides. It's keeping the status quo between class systems.
Class, yes.
Because if you are taking advantage of poor whites, I think that is a pretty anti-white thing to be doing. How is taking advantage of poor whites? And if you listen to what Yuli's saying about these white squatter camps, the temperatures drop, say, to -4 degrees, and these people are living in tents. They have no say in how Orania is run or anything. They are just literally there as cheap labor.
Cheap labor, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I understand that, but let them be. I mean, no one's forcing them to be there. They want to be there.
Okay, maybe
They will leave.
maybe you
But there's
explain to
also
him again. Let Yoli explain again, because we've heard it a few times. Explain to him again what they use in order to, like the threats they would use. Just please explain to him again.
NYC, you see the Afrikaner, the white Afrikaner comes to Orania because they believe, and it's been propagated, that we use our own labor, all that kind of thing. So your less fortunate Afrikaner comes here with the hope that they are now going to be able to work, which, by the way, is not true. They suffer, they come to get poorer than the poorest, and there is no hope for them for the future, because the only industries that work here is restaurants and construction. And let me tell you a secret. Why has 3 of the biggest construction companies in Orania withdrawn from Orania since January. Do you know how many people are now jobless? They come here with hopes and dreams for a better life, just to have a shock to find out, you know what, I'm actually worse off than I would have been where I come from. I have had a conversation with a pensioner who brought his whole pension here. He is a Red Seal boiler maker, and he was not paid as his boss promised him. He pumped all of his pension into this place, only to be poverty-stricken and had to go back to work after the age of nearly 60, well, he's nearly 70, to go back to work to make a living on his retirement, which now no longer exists. Now,
Because he
when
spends all
you
his money
come
buying
to
a property.
Orania, no, he didn't even buy a property.
Shame.
He hired a property. That is the cost of living in Orania. The elite goes outside of Orania to buy their groceries. The poor Orania has to use the shops in Orania, which is selling product at premium prices, because they do not have transport to get to Kimberley or De Aar, which is like 200 kilometers away, to buy the groceries from Checkers as you know it. Yeah, the prices are inflated between 10 to 30, 40%. Now, the poor person has to buy that. The rich, or I call them the elite, they get in their car once a month and go do bulk shopping at all these shops 200 kilometers away and bring it back to Orania and live like kings. And then they complain is, why don't we support the Orania shops? Now you tell me how fair that is. They are the ones who's propagating buy locally, buy locally. Locally is so expensive that even the elite gets in their cars once a month and goes and buys outside. They don't even spend their money here.
Yeah.
So how does, help me make that make sense?
No, and essentially they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're doing their own people a disservice, the people they're supposed to help.
Thank you.
And that Cole guy, he said in 2003 that poor Afrikaans people, he was specifically aiming at Pretoria, and females needn't sell themselves on the side of the street, that they can go to Orania as a safe haven. That, you know, that was, and now they were screwing their own people, tradesmen. And tradesmen are very, 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 very valuable people, because we're running out of them. Can't even find a job there. I think they're screwing up there big time. I think the elite has taken over, like the elite always do. And because if you look at the property in Orania, go on your phone. This is not everybody can do this, and look for property for sale in Orania. 500 squares, 2 million rand. What the fuck? That's that's the same as
And
Cape
just
Town.
remember one thing,
So they're back where they started now. The
NYC,
smartest people.
you never own that property, just by the way. You never own it. It's a share block.
The share block.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's a share block property.
sectional
you don't-
title. It's almost like having a flat. Sectional title.
Yes, it's a share block. And this is where I have the problem, because it's a share block property. And then what happens with share block properties is that they are supposed to follow the share block property bylaws, which Orania does not. And they get away with it. And our government just closes one eye because someone is probably paying them. That's just what I'm saying.
It's crazy that a community that wants to use self-determination as a reason for existence is so reliant still on the state. Where does the electricity? I know they generate a lot of their own power, but that wasn't always the case. You know, they still drive on national roads.
Yes,
They
yes.
still have infrastructure that they make use of. I just find self-determination is the smoke screen that they hide behind to be able to stay to segregate themselves away from people who are not there.
Now, let me give you something that you've just reminded me of, 4104 height, is that Orania is one of the places where one of the birds' sanctuaries, I want to say their breeding grounds, are found in Orania. They have actually flattened that ground to put up a solar farm, not caring about the environment, because the solar farm is right in the middle of where all the elites live.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Someone asked a good question. Your Colin asked, just let me find it. It was quite a good question. He said, he said, Business Tech article says they are expanding in size. Please, are they, Yoli? Oranya's expanding.
Well, they are building like crazy, but that's because of They are like the
please
big
explain who
construction. Is like I want to say the construction company, but let me tell you, they also fall under the banner of the elites.
Okay.
And they decide, they're like the infrastructure people. And they build, and they are building, believe me. But let me tell you, there is not enough people in Orania to live in those homes.
And the poor whites can't afford to live
Yeah, and the
there.
poor whites, yes,
Correct.
exactly. Yeah.
Now imagine this. The average salary is between 5,000 and 8,000 rand a month. To rent a 2-bedroomed flat is going to cost you between 7,000 and 9,000 rand a month. How does a family that only brings in 8,000 rand a month pay rent and buy food, and they still have little children? Help me make that make sense.
That's crazy.
When the CEO of the city council earns more than 90,000 rand a month.
You know what? It's this the rich taking advantage of the poor, because you have this cheap labor that they use to build the houses, but that same cheap labor are still relegated to living in the squatter camps or the informal settlement. I don't like the word squatter camps. It seems very derogatory to me. But the white informal settlements, so they have to keep living in these informal settlements, building the houses that the rich are now
living.
paying them to build in, but they can never afford to live in those houses. They can never live. It's disgusting.
It is
They
disgusting.
will never be able to buy a house. They won't ever be able to buy a house. Never.
And you can say, oh, well, that's how capitalism works, or that's how free markets work. But isn't that against the principles of what Orania is trying to say? They're saying that this is a safe haven for whites, for white people and white Afrikaners. Like, I don't see how do you say, oh, this is we preserve our culture here, but then you just misuse poor white people. It's a bit of a contradiction to me.
Where's the morality in that?
Yeah.
Can I read
And
something?
we're supposed to be these moral people.
Would you guys maybe be willing to do a live with Carl and Joost? I didn't, raise all these questions, and I have a few of my own.
Yeah, I
Is it
would like
something
to, but
possible
let me just quickly do. I'd love to, but they'll have to do it in English because my Afrikaans is not so vlot nie. Dis lekker vrot. Okay, Yoli, she sent me this at one point. Okay, this is it's snippets from it. Okay, it says here. Such a special general meeting was never held, and to date, 18th of June 2025, the 2017 motion on jurisdiction for Orania has not yet been implemented. It is therefore concluded that since the 2017 motion has not been implemented, the OAB board, which is the town council, is operating an illegal legal system. So such a special general meeting was never held, and to date, 18th of June 2025, the 2017 motion on jurisdiction for Orania has not yet been implemented. The question can therefore be asked that if the board of directors of OAB, the town council, the successors to VAB, which is the Vlekkieskraal Aandele Block Company, and the town council themselves disregard their own rules so much, how can they absolutely apply the law to residents? Because they're not even complying, right? Instead of establishing an independent judiciary in Orania, as decided, Orania Town Council has created its own monstrosity of a legal structure in which they have drawn up a set of regulations for almost every aspect, listener, every aspect of Orania society, and which they try to autocratically impose on the local community in it. Justice is done by so-called legal panels which are staffed by fellow residents. Everything she's talking about, how the elite are controlling there.
Celeste, I just want to just correct one thing.
Okay.
Is the town council is an entity on its own.
Yes.
And the OAB is the Aandele Block, which is
okay.
actually,
So OAB is Vlekkieskraal.
Yeah.
Okay, so Vlekkieskraal and then the town. Yeah, it's two. Yes, it's two separate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Just so that they are not the same thing. Let's just call them different boards. It's
yes, because
boards,
let me explain to
people. Is at the top of the city council.
Yeah. Let me explain to people the Afrikaans here, OAB. So that's the Aandele Block, right? That's Vlekkieskraal. Yeah, so Vlekkieskraal, they are the people who own the property, the share block property.
Yes, Vlekkieskraal.
And then the town council are the
is
people
where
operating.
The Boshoffs are.
Yeah, yes. That's what's his name? Boshoff, what's his first name?
Boshoffs are the founding fathers of Orania.
I think his name is Carl.
Carl Boshoff, yeah.
Yes, so, and he's Carl number 4. They go in numbers because they all got the same name.
Oh, yeah. And because Vlekkieskraal was first, I think it was first a farm, and then in 1963 it became a town because of the dam they were building. That's what I read in the history of it.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because that's actually on their website, something like that. Yeah. If anyone wants to know, just go to their website. And if it's in Afrikaans, just use ChatGPT and AI to translate. But everything you need to know is on there. So everything I'm saying, when I'm talking about they are share block property, they are not following the law properly. And even when I asked Yoli, what happens when people, the residents there, ask questions like I'm asking, like, excuse me, we're supposed to be a share block property, but then how come we are racially exclusive? And there are businesses here now under the South African business bylaws, we cannot be racially exclusive. Example, when people ask this, she says they get ostracized.
Yoli, is there no cash and carry there, like where the prices are not inflated, where you can buy bulk and
NYC, that is such a brilliant question.
Somewhere you could get stuff for cheap.
The only shops around here are boerewinkels, boere shops. And as I said, not all shops, I have to be fair and I have to be honest, is that not all shops do this, where they inflate prices. There are those that try and keep their prices as low as possible to make the minimum profit for them to survive, but try and assist the poor people of the town. There are those. But 90% of the other shops are inflated. I mean, if you go to a restaurant, I know of only 2 restaurants where I can buy a hot dog for 10 Rand. If you go and buy a pizza at any other place, they are more expensive than Panarottis or anything like that. We don't have any chain shops. We don't. The prices is exorbitant. You
But
want to
Jody,
buy
there's
a
no
pair
hot
of
dogs in
decent
Cape Town
shoes.
where I live or anywhere for 10 Rand. I th-
Exactly. So there are people that are trying
okay.
at their own expense and they suffer for it.
Yes.
But you can buy a hot dog for 10 Rand. All right. But then you go to the other shop and you want to buy a hot dog, 35 Rand.
Jeez.
And
You
tell
know
us
what?
about the
See, so,
currency.
Well,
all right.
So
They
you,
do have a currency that is an Ora. And an Ora is, you can only use it in Orania, and it is 1-to-1 on the Rand. So if you've got 1 Ora, it's worth 1 Rand.
Okay.
But you cannot use it anywhere outside. Now, their explanation to this is that it saves the financial institution of Orania from being robbed. So if you rob them of the Oras, you can't go and
You
use it
can't use it.
anywhere else.
Right. Okay.
So
That's
yes, you
fair.
can use the Oras in Orania, but if you want to exchange a Rand for an Ora at the financial institution, they ask you a fee.
what? So
So it's like
it's
an
free to
Yes.
get it.
interest,
If
is
you
it?
want to get your rands back, then you need to pay a little bit extra.
Extra, yeah. So it's
Yep.
yeah. So they make it's like almost like an interest on it, is it?
It just all seems. I'm gonna be dead honest. Orania sounds to me like a stokvel for the rich.
It's like
Yeah.
a cult.
when you
Yeah.
trade your
There's
rands into,
that.
it goes to interest account, so it's not far from a Stockveld. So he's right.
But NYC, you know what scares me really is that the fact that they can engineer your exit or kicking you out of the town at their own discretion. That is worrying because you never own the property. Orania is private property. The old town it's private property, so they can kick you out for whatever they do. So, like Yuli said, there's people that have spoken out that they've engineered, they've
Actually,
slandered.
actually they can't kick you out by law
Yep.
because if they are registered, which I'm sure they are, I'm waiting for someone to get me all the information. If they're registered as a share block property, the residents, they do have rights. Like anyone who lives in a gated community or flat, because those are like share block properties, you would know that. There has to be, it has to be legitimate. But you see, everything they're doing there is illegal. It doesn't fall in any of the framework of our laws. So that is why they can do all these things to the people. Because they just totally ignore the actual law. Like share block properties,
Why?
who stays in a flat here? I'm sure somebody does, because I do. They cannot just throw you out or
They
threaten
can
you.
throw
No,
you
they
out.
do.
If you piss off
Yeah,
the
but you
body
say that,
corporate,
yeah, that's what
if
I'm
you
saying.
piss off
They
the body
do.
corporate enough, they can throw you out. Yes, it's still your flat, but they can throw you out. You'll have to
But
rent it
they
out
have
or
to
do
But
something
what
else.
they do,
but
yeah,
not Millie
is
Willy. There has to be proper
No,
reason.
you're not going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to throw you out. But in a process of 6 months,
they
if
need a
the
court
body corporate
order.
really doesn't like you, it's
Yes, they need a
possible. I'm telling
so
you.
please tell him in Orania, is there all the court or all that? Please just explain to him.
No, there's no court order.
Nothing.
The security can come into your home
They just
without a court order. They rock up with their vans, they load you in their van and drop you in the middle of nowhere
No way.
or
Yeah.
take you to
yeah. You
Hopetown
see,
or wherever they
Yoli,
want to
has this
drop
happened?
you,
Has this happened before?
and they leave you just there.
yeah.
Yoli,
You
has
see,
it
they
happened
cannot
before?
do that to us. You know what I mean? Us that are not living in Orania, because we have the law on our side,
May net try. You
which
may
they
net try.
should have, and they are not. That is why they're taking advantage of the poor. There's so many things that is not right. That is what she's trying to highlight here.
So Yoli, that actually happened. They went, they loaded his stuff in on a truck and then just drove him 3 kilometers out and threw his stuff out.
Yep.
Yoli?
They
Yo,
just
that's
throw
how
you
the Lupa
out, they
guys.
drop you off in Hopetown. They don't care if you've got finances. to get to somewhere where you can stay, they don't care. They'll pick you up, throw you in their van, and just drive you out of town.
And the fact that security can just go into your house. You see, I live in a condominium, it's called. The security, they do not have the right to just come into my house.
No, they can't.
It's illegal. But they can do it there.
Well, yeah,
It's
they
Really?
can.
What did
They
that guy
operate
do?
above the law. Because they're operating above the law.
What did that guy do? Did he do? He must have done something really bad. I'd imagine.
No, the thing is, according to them, like drug use is illegal. You can't smoke dagga. They will test you for dagga, and if you are, if you've had a little bit of pot, then okay, you out, finished. They pick you up, they throw you out, but you will first face a disciplinary. And in this disciplinary, let me explain this to you. They use the Labor Relation Act disciplinary code of how a disciplinary must be run. But they use corporate private law in their disciplinary to give them the right to do what they are doing. And then your chairperson is not just one chairperson that is fully trained in any law. It's a community member that's had some course done, and there's a panel of them. And if they decide that you are to get out, they will tell you your sanction is a 10-year, that you are not allowed to live in Orania, whether you own property, not property, you are out. And if you are not out on the date, fibd, who is the Orania Veiligheids division, whatever, the security company, they will stop and pick you up and take you out with no court order.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, I'm just looking at the comments here. People in the comments are more concerned, with the fact that there's no gangsterism in there. And the murder rate
The
is low.
elite are the gangsters.
Exactly. Yeah, we spoke about that
To be fair,
earlier.
they're not murdering
They were
anybody.
not here when you
You're
were
not behaving
talking
yourself.
about
You don't want to confine to the rules. You'll be taken out. Hard to see the property I bought. It can be, but anyway, that's also goes for the rest of the
Yeah,
country.
it's a lot of human rights violations. Someone is saying in the comments. Yeah, especially the treatment of the poor. And what about the old people? You were telling me something about how they treat the old people, because the old people, they kind of like, they can't really contribute to the society. So I guess they just like spare wheels there or something.
So there are old age homes, yeah, but the one specific one, I adopted an old lady, and her own son put her out of her home in Orania because her husband passed away, and he stuck her in this old age home. And she was explaining to me that now she has diabetes, she sits in a wheelchair, she's got no legs, and she said to me one day, you can't even ask any of the people that's appointed to help you for help, because they'll tell you, I'm not here to help you, do it yourself. Explain to me how that makes sense. You are getting paid to look after these old people, but then you tell them if they ask you for something, it's not my job to help you, help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is the mentality of young people who is a kamach, being raised in Afrikaner culture, how they treat the old people.
This is actually fucking. I'm sorry for swearing. This
Yeah,
is
no.
very.
But now you
This
can
is fuck-
imagine, 41.8, you can imagine she was sending me all the talking to me about things, and then actually sending me the where they're actually discussing all these things, the conversations people are having. And it was like, it's a nightmare. Because
Yeah,
now
and
it's telling you, when you actually see how they speak, like this, like she said, Afrikaner culture, right? When you see how they speak, because she's showing me the WhatsApp messages, You won't believe it. It's crazy. And all this time I couldn't say anything because, like I said, that's why yesterday or day before, I can't remember, I asked her permission. I said, are you ready now to come out? Because all the time she was trying to just collect all the information. And I did approach the Daily Maverick. I've not heard anything from them, but according to Yoli, she said, what I saw written on the WhatsApp messages, there was a drone flying around there the other day. So I don't know, it could be the Daily Maverick because, sometimes they don't, my friend told me, even if you alert them about something, they don't get back to you, but they will go and investigate.
Yeah. You know what? I think we've all had like our different suspicions of what actually goes on in Orania. But we get a very propagandized version or very whitewashed version of what the public actually sees. And every now and then you get a black person that they get to come and visit, and then they make a big spectacular thing about and videos, and that's what you see. But like Rudy said to us, like it's like these politicians that go to Israel, because Israel invites them to come and see. Oh, there's no apartheid here, but they give them a guided tour. They take them to the things that they want to see. They want you to see, not the things that are
Yeah.
the
Do you want
actual
to be
issue.
pro-Israel? What are you talking about?
Yeah, let's
I'm
not
not
get into Israel. Yeah,
pro-Israel
let's not
at
get into
all.
Israel. I don't want to get into Israel. Not
On
today.
the other live, you're pro-Israel. It doesn't matter. Okay. So Yoli, do you plan on staying in Orania, or are you going to move out if it's no good? Or
NYC, I would love to get out of Orania, but unfortunately, like I said previously, all the savings that I brought from Cape Town has been used up just to survive, because I wanted to be out of here, but I also realized that, you know what, if I don't speak up, nobody is going to have the cojones to do it. So to
Yoli,
my own detriment.
what happens now if they expel you, like you mentioned a few times?
Oh, I'm definitely going to face
You
a
don't even have a bloody
disciplinary. I
internet
can
connection. You can't
guarantee
even
you
come on
that
this live and
much.
talk to us about it.
I'm definitely going to face a disciplinary, and they are going to revoke my citizenship. And because I got no finances, guaranteed I will be dropped off somewhere. Well, I've got a car, so I'll be escorted out of the town and told that I cannot ever, probably after this, not just 10 years, but ever come back to Orania. So I'm expecting that. What I'm going to do is, do you know what? I don't care. Even if I stand alone, I'm going to stand. Because I am not the only one. I can guarantee you, because I've invited some citizens that I know back me. They are in this chat, they are listening, and they are watching. And let's see what happens. It's time for the truth to come out. If that is my only if that's my only calling in this life, my final calling in this life is to expose injustice, I will stand and then let them throw me out, and what happens, happens.
Yoli, how did you land up in Orania, if I may ask?
Okay, this will be the
I've
third time
explained it, but I'll
explaining.
tell you again. I don't mind explaining it.
Please
I
go
was a
ahead.
very successful consultant in Cape Town. And unfortunately, last year in March, my mother passed away, and people asked me, how the hell did you do this? My mother passed away 4 years ago, and like any other person, I didn't want to face her. She left me crates and crates of stuff, and I didn't want to face it. So last year, March, I decided, all right, it's time to face it and accept. So I went and I fetched all her crates out of storage, and I had to carry them up the stairs. Now, ons boeremeisies, we think we're strong because we still think we're in our 30s and 20s and we do everything ourselves. But unfortunately, I'm over 55, so I took all these heavy crates, and my mother was a bookworm, and one of the crates had only books in them. And I'm talking huge crates. And I carried this crate up the stairs, and I broke my back in 3 places, which meant I had to have a back operation, and I couldn't run my consultancy anymore. And I was alone in Cape Town, couldn't look after myself. I couldn't even lift a kettle to make myself a cup of coffee. So my cousin who lives in Orania said, why don't you come to Orania? It's a safe place and you can come and recover here. And because I'm a boerenmeisie, I love the farm life. And I thought, oh, I like this, not knowing what the hell I was getting myself into. I thought, okay, I'll stay, you know. And that's how I landed up here. And now I can't get the hell out.
And you purchased it?
You
No,
can't.
I didn't purchase. Yeah, I wanted to start a business first before I purchased anything. And that's
Sure.
where the whole target on my back started.
Do you think maybe it's because you don't fit in? Because you refuse to fit in their narratives and their, you know, the Afrikaans culture? Maybe
I
that's why.
think I definitely don't fit in because my mouth is too big. I am unfortunately, when somebody says something, you know, I believe everything in life is logic, and bring me facts, not effery. And if you don't do that, I am going to challenge you. I will. It's like anybody else who says, oh, the Bible says this. You know what I'm going to ask you first? Show me. And this is where I don't fit in because I ask too many questions. It's like somebody in Orania told me, you're a critical thinker, so you'll never fit in.
Yeah, you know
They
what?
want sheep. They want sheep who just follow.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. You know, coming from a conservative Afrikaans community myself, we were taught that you don't question authority, you don't question your teachers, you don't question your parents, and you don't question anybody else in a position of authority. And it just seems like they perpetuate this. So I think that is the only Afrikaner cultural thing that I can think of that is happening in Orania is do not question authority.
And it's
So what is your
true.
plans
You
next?
cannot question
Are you
them.
planning on moving out there, or are you planning on getting evicted, basically?
Well, I'm going to be evicted after this. This I can give you a letter for it. I'm going to be put out of town.
Okay, but you have a backup
Obviously,
plan?
I'll first face. No, I don't. That's the unfortunate part. Is I don't. I would like to go
Then you're
back
not
to
a critical
Cape Town.
thinker. You can't come on these lives and say, because you are there. I'm
Wait.
worried about you. You can
Yes.
say these things,
Hold
and
on.
then, I got no backup plan.
No. Give me a chance. I told you I was a very successful consultant in Cape Town. And the plan would be is to go back to Cape Town and just get back to my clients because they are all shouting is, we want to see you face to face. We don't want these Zoom meetings. We don't want this. We don't want that. We want your personal interaction because personal contact is what makes you so important.
That's what sells.
Exactly. So that would be my backup plan, but how do I get there? Do you understand? When they financially has broken me. And I am not, please, I am not a charity case. I have lived on my own for 20 years, looked after myself quite successfully. I am not a charity case. So I will find a way to get back to Cape Town and start up my consulting again because my clients are waiting.
So, but
Does that answer you?
I also want to ask you, are you going to, because I remember you said you want to write a book, but why don't you try to have a interview with a newspaper or someone like that?
I actually have friends that are journalists in Cape Town, and exactly what I've sent you, Celeste, I've sent them
You
as
said.
well. And they work for rather large news outlets, and I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Okay. Yeah,
So
and just
yes,
so you know, I did
I
approach
haven't
Daily
just sat on
Maverick.
my backside.
You also have to realize that Orania is very largely supported by Solidarity, which
Yes,
has
yes.
a lot of influence on white-owned media.
But that's why the Daily
You
Maverick
po-
is the best. The thing is, I think how we can also help, and everybody who is here, maybe if we all start writing to them and saying, like this, things allegedly are going on there, blah 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 blah. Because I think the more, like, for her and I that actually have the documents, we can send that, and then if everybody else just keeps also like
So
just
before that
writing to
happens, let's get
them.
an interview. Let's get an interview with one of the representatives and put them on the live. I think that's
Sorry,
going to be the best. Let's get an interview for one, or let's get someone on the live, one of the
wait,
representatives on the
now,
live.
now.
Now, I can't do it now. I've sent emails out already.
Okay, yeah. Next, okay, we can do. You let us
Maybe in
know
4
how you can
days.
contact
I'll give them
me.
ultimatum, reply in 24 hours and give us a date.
Would you want that, Yoli?
I don't know if this is going
I
to
have
turn
no
out.
problem with that. I
Yeah,
have
because the thing.
no problem with that
Okay, because
because
for
I've
me,
exposed myself already. What else? What's the
okay,
worst they can do? Throw me out of town?
Yeah, that's the
Go
thing
for
in
it.
NYC.
That's
It's
why
like
I asked you if you have backup.
okay, that
this
would
is
be
not the
good.
Plan. You can't just come on these lives and
Yeah.
speak this stuff. I know what you're saying is the truth, but you need to look after yourself more than others. People on this live is not gonna. You could be on the streets. No one. Is someone
But
here
no,
gonna
I
fetch
will
you?
help. I will help
Well,
her.
Celeste will help you.
I will help you
I
because
will
I
try
do
and
that.
help, but
Okay, the other thing
I've
is
got a
this.
family. I've got my own stuff going on here. Go and go.
Yeah, what I really
I'll-
want to ask people here is, I have noticed, why does nobody want to talk about the illegal part of Orania, which pertains to the property laws, the constitution, and the business licenses bylaws? Nobody wants to speak. Even like here, we've been speaking for so long. I keep bringing it up. Nobody wants to address this issue. What is it about this issue, or is it just because you all are not, maybe you don't have enough information about it? What is it? See, nobody wants to talk about it, and I don't know why. Because
Celeste, I
it's
think it's because a lot of people actually don't have the knowledge as
yes,
you
but that's
do,
why I
the
bring it up, because
in-depth
they can.
knowledge of it.
Yeah, they have to go and read. That's why, if you want to know these things I'm talking about, you have to go and read, because this is the bigger issue for the Orania people. It's because they are being used and abused by the elite, and the elite is not just the flaky scroll people and all those big shareholders she's talking about. It's also at government level. Because why are they closing if you look at it, the only two parties that have an issue with Orania all the time are EFF and Action SA. And every time EFF says something about it, they vilify them. Okay, I mean, they do a lot of things but still, I've noticed they will just that. Same with Action SA. They can talk about other things. It's kind of like, the minute they talk about that, they get vilified. Why? And even when I was watching Gayton, Mackenzie, these kind of people, when they are asked about Orania, they kind of like phase out. There'll be like some of the people in here, but why should we bother about them? They're not important. They like try to push it aside. Why? Because if you ask Gayton about any other aspect of what is happening in South Africa, he will. The minute you ask him about that, same with my favorite Neil de Beer, he's my favorite. All the leaders, the minute Orania comes up, they will go into this philosophical blah blah la la land, absolute rubbish talk. Why do they not just say straight, like if people ask? So why are people upset with Orania? Why are people saying it's a whites only town? They don't say like the facts, logic. No. You people must watch. Take notes.
Celeste, who are you voting for?
Sorry?
Who are you voting
Who,
for?
who am I inviting for?
Voting.
Nobody, they're all crap. I'll run and vote for myself. Please,
I think in that
They're all bullshitters now.
or every one of them. You can line them up, but character-wise, I like Neil de Beer the best. I feel that guy is.
I was
I
a
don't
big
like
part
his
of Vote
policies,
Right,
but I like him.
and I'm not part of them anymore, but I'll still vote for them. If they come out in the ballot box, Vote Right.
Vote Right. Who's that?
Rot.
Uncle Len's party.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Nah,
For me,
come on,
you can
guys, let's
line
not
them
act like
all
we don't
up,
know.
and I'll go useless. Oh, worse, useless. Oh, number one,
Probably.
useless.
You're probably right. As soon as someone gets in a bit of power, they do the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm not even.
It
Yeah.
was, why do you sound like Goose?
What is what?
No, NYC sounds like this.
The Vote Right guy. Yeah, no, man, he's cool. He's all right, bro.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm not saying like he's not okay. I'm just saying like he kind of sounds like him, like a younger version of him.
Yeah, man. Zach, for one. Like Goose.
But this person leave
guy's like
EFF
76
and
years old,
Action
bro.
SA, you
He
guys
sounds
keep
like that.
quiet when they accuse them, so leave there in Orania. What does that even mean? Wait, am I reading this wrong? Leave off and action. Leave EFF and Action SA, you guys keep quiet when they accuse them, so leave there in Orania. I don't know what you're trying to say, please. Political figures are being paid off by the elite in Orania. I think so. Who's this? This Kumkani guy? That is exactly what I think. That there is this thing going on there. That the elite are in cahoots with the ANC or, well, can I?
No.
I
Not
have
the
this
ANC.
feeling. Or whoever. They are in cahoots with the government. They are.
Guys, pro-black
They
people is
can
not going
run
to pay
around the
people to make a white
world
tie.
doing these things.
That is not going to
and
happen.
Nobody says anything. Look how US Stradom is running around the world. And look at the people he's meeting. It's all these like neo-Nazi kind of extreme right.
He's rubbing shoulders with important people.
Yes,
I
but
would be
who are these
worried.
important people? Neo-Nazis and extreme right-wingers in other countries. And
I wouldn't say
everybody's
extreme
like
right-wingers,
happy about
but
it.
right-wingers nonetheless, yeah.
Yes. What do you think those people in Hungary are? You have to go do the homework. That's what I do all day. I look
You
at
know
what's
And that's
going
the
on.
danger of him being able to do all of this, is because he's rubbing shoulders with the right people to
Yes,
keep what's happening here undercover.
exactly.
you
It's
have
like
to
they're running
remember.
a cheap labor slave. I don't know. It's just very weird. It's the weirdest
You
thing that I've encountered in my entire life. That it's just like it's happening in front of everyone's eyes, and everyone is like even when she was telling her story, I saw some of the people in the comments. It's like they can't hear what she's saying.
you know,
Like you've all been drugged.
Celeste,
What's going on?
sorry, Celeste. Can you please allow Jacqueline up? But also, I want to say that I don't think it's as far-fetched that thinking that they might be working with the ANC, because we know that, that
They're rubbing shoulders with someone up there.
with these extremist groups, even though they might not ideologically align with people, they'll still interact with those people if they can benefit from it. I mean, the apartheid state did it often. They worked with the governments of the homelands. They worked with the governments of like Israel, even though Afrikaners have strong dislike of Jews. They
ANC worked with Israel, not Afrikaners.
No,
No, the
wait.
ANC would never work with Israel, please.
Bro.
They wrote the manifesto,
The apartheid
not
government
anything.
had a lot of ties with the Israeli government.
Yeah, the
Who
Israelis
do you
helped them
think-
build the nuclear weapons, remember?
Exactly. And they had.
Was that the Israelis?
Yeah, with the Israeli government. Yeah.
Yeah, the Israeli government helped South Africa build the nuclear weapons.
Yeah, in the beginning,
And
Yeah.
from some years
yeah,
ago.
You know, apartheid South Africa was the blueprint for apartheid Israel.
Yes.
They had
Yes,
very close,
yes, and we have a
even though
lot of
they
South
might not.
Africans there. We have a lot of those
Yes.
South Africans that are living there. A
Mm.
lot.
Yeah, they even though they might not hug these people, they still worked with them because they could benefit from each other.
Mm.
And they all changed their names. They all have new names. Because I went to Israel the first time in 1977 and in 1979.
Mm.
You know, so that time I know.
Afternoon. Whew.
Hi, Jacqueline.
How are you guys? Oh my goodness, I am
Hi,
shocked.
Jacqueline.
Yoli, I am shocked to the core.
You shocked.
I was just going through this my TikTok and then I just stopped here. I literally stopped. I was like, are they talking about the Orania that we are told it is beautiful, it is this, it is that, and then I just stopped. What are you guys talking about? I've been asking, is this the real Orania? And you know, Celeste, maybe just to say, we don't have information, my dear. We don't have information. And when you are saying the EFF and the
Action
other
essay.
Action essay are asking, they just ask and then they don't inform. They don't. Maybe it's just, you know, sometimes when you ask a question because you are lucky to ask, it just came out. I also used to feel like that maybe they're asking because, you know, it's just something by the way, right? I didn't know what Yoli is talking about. And information is very, very important. Who is talking about Orania except you today? You can go in all the other podcasts. No one is talking about this. Never. This is the first time
They are
ever.
afraid. Everyone, you know how much threats I get.
And
A
I was
lot.
like,
People are
I need to
afraid.
follow you. I must follow you. Let me just follow now. I must follow you and get information because we have other organizations. I mean, for instance, and I know maybe you see, there's a lot of polarization of black and white in the country, right? And I think maybe for now, probably most of the black people are still saying, no, let's do that redress before we can talk about, because if everything was at the same level, I don't think there would have been any black person that will just ignore the fact that there's a lot of oppression in Orania. I don't think so. I just stopped now. And yeah, if most of us would know, if for instance, I mean, I can send, if I can get this information. You see, Gaten, when he talks too much about that, I have his email address. I will send this information to him.
Yeah, ask him, why are they not looking into the constitution, the property laws, and the business bylaws? Because Orania is breaking all those laws. And I know someone said it's far-fetched, but I'm telling you, it's because the elites there are rubbing shoulders with
Yes.
someone
And
up
when
there. I'm telling
when
you.
someone was saying solidarity,
Yeah, Yoli said
and
that.
all those guys are actually in cahoots with,
Yeah, Yoli.
they benefiting a lot from there. There's a lot that they are benefiting. Oh my God, I am shocked, guys. But
Jacqueline, let me give you a little bit of a shocker.
oh my God, don't do
Solidarity,
that. Yes,
Solidarity is one of the biggest funders of Orania. Now, we all know Solidarity is a union
definitely.
for mostly white people.
Yes.
But when you go and look, their membership is now between 20 to 30% of non-white people.
Non-whites.
My
Yeah.
question
Yes.
is, do the non-white people that are members, do they know where their membership money is going to
No,
and
they
what
don't
it
know.
is for?
No, they don't know.
It's a question.
No, they don't know. I'm telling you. No, they don't know.
What percentage?
It's time that
She
they
said
start
30%.
asking questions.
They don't know because
Solidarity has built a college with their membership fees, which members of other races cannot attend.
Mm-hmm.
Their own members of other races will not be able to attend these colleges.
I know it's because, eh, and hence I'm saying to you that sometimes we polarize issues as people generally, right? There are issues that are equal or can benefit both blacks and white. Can we agree? What are those things? Education, health, constitutional rights, all those constitutional rights. Every person in the country, whether black, white, Indian, all those can benefit for everyone. Let's talk about those and say yes. Now, if solidarity is taking a black person's money and go and create a college for white people, you must remember when they are sitting in a meeting somewhere, the majority is white people. When they vote for where the money has to go, the minority, which is the black people, what are they going to do? There's nothing that they can do because they are a minority. That's why. And then now, as solidarity, they do not say, as people in South Africa, as South Africans, equally, we can benefit. It doesn't matter who you are. Therefore, we are going to build this school for all our kids. And in fact, we are going to prioritize our members to be part of the school because it's a benefit for our members. You understand what I'm saying? So, oh my God.
You guys talk
But
because I
do
need to
you
do.
for 1
You guys
minute
talk.
think,
I need to do some research here.
Yes.
yeah, do you, Jacqueline, do you
Yes.
think for 1 minute that when they have these meetings, that they let their membership know what the topic and the objective of their finances are? This is all done behind closed doors where decisions are taken and the members just pay their membership fee because they're scared of what their employer is going to do to them.
Yeah,
But they
I know
don't
that.
ask, where do
Mm.
my membership fee go to? They don't ask the critical questions.
No, I've been in organizations. I know that, and you know what they do? The first thing that they say, this is a democratically what organization. The minute they put democracy there, that's where the 70% of votes, when it says we are going to build a school, and then the money goes there. But also these people that they have, and I think, sometimes you think the grass is greener on the other side. So probably when these people were joining Solidarity, they thought that the other unions, which are black unions, were worse than this one, or maybe because you must remember when you talk about solidarity in the workplace, somewhere they're able to negotiate better wages for their people and whatever. So some black people, when they join in solidarity, they feel like, okay, here we can get better wages, we can get better benefits, whatever, which yes, at that time can be better, probably at the workplace level. But the subscriptions that you then pay into an organization, you can't say anything about it because already you've got a better salary, isn't it? So it's a quagmire, if I can put it that way. It's a catch-22 situation. You are caught between a rock and a hard surface, and then you don't know what to do. On this side, you are discriminated against, you don't know. And then, but then what's the better devil? Discrimination at the workplace, no better salary, or that percentage that then broadly goes to something you think is small, but in fact it's big. You understand? So, guys, I am so depressed now.
Okay, sorry. I'm
But I
sending
think
to you.
it's
You guys
like
continue.
for 41 Heights and one NYC says,
Yeah.
it's people are expected just to accept what the elite says because
Mm,
they are expected to follow like sheep. They don't
mm,
ask questions. Where,
Animal
if you
farm.
think about it, everything is logic.
Yeah.
And if something is too good to be true, then most likely it is.
Mm,
And you tell me, if you are giving your money every month to something to benefit you, when are you going to get to a point and ask, okay, so what's happening to my money? How's it being invested? Because surely when you have a pension fund, the pension fund sends you financials every year to tell you, look, your finances are safe. You are going to be able to retire.
Mm.
The unions don't do that.
No, the unions don't do that.
Okay, can I just
So
read?
how do the members know where their money is going?
Yeah, I just
Well,
Sorry,
want to read
Celeste, you
something.
carry on.
Yeah, I just
yes,
want to read
Celeste.
something. Sorry,
Yes,
because someone said solidarity is not. Grad said, okay, solidarity is not. Because you said it's there's
Yeah.
non-white members, but this is what it said. And then I asked, what is the percentage of Solidarity's non-whites? It said it is difficult to determine the exact percentage of non-white members in Solidarity in South Africa, as the organization does not publicly disclose the racial breakdown of its members. While Solidarity is often associated with white Afrikaners, they have stated that they are open to all South Africans. I remember when I was watching an interview with one of the Solidarity people and this guy from the podcast Beyond Africa. I remember the Solidarity guy did say that they their membership is mixed, is a mixed race membership. I remember that. If you'll go, there's a
But
podcaster Beyond Africa.
yeah.
but Celeste, you know you've heard of Peniel, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Peniel was a proud member of Solidarity and AfriForum.
Yeah, I
Yes.
remember him being of
Clearly they
AfriForum. I don't remember Solidarity. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So clearly they allow they do allow the membership.
yeah. So the money, so then the Yoli's right, because they are paying their membership fee. Do they realize that their membership fee is supporting the elites and at the same time oppressing the poor in Orania? They don't, because they're not
They
getting
don't.
that picture. They're not, that picture's not being painted for them.
Mm. But
And do
also,
they
but
realize that the non-white membership is that there's a technical college where they can come and do technical, which we in South Africa are in desperate need of, to get red seals, proper red seals, and they're not allowed to attend this college, though they're a member of
Of Solidarity.
where?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Tell me the morals of that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
oh my God.
Yeah. You
All right,
see?
I'm gonna drop off, Celeste. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
this, Yoli. All the best to you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we will go another 10 minutes and then we go because it's already
Thank you
almost
for
12
right.
p.m., 12 a.m. where
Yeah.
I am. So we'll just
Oh.
go another 10 minutes. If anybody wants to ask Yoli any more questions, let me accept.
I
Thank
just
you so
wanna
much, 41.8. Thank you.
not a problem. I just wanna say, Yoli, please keep safe. And all the best to you.
Oh,
NYC,
have
please
bread, my
send me that
friend.
video and we'll engage. Jacqueline, was nice talking to you as well.
Thank
Cheers,
you,
everybody. Hope
41.
you have a fantastic Monday and keep warm.
Okay, so Anne
Thank you,
asked,
41 Heart. Thank you.
thanks, 41.8.
Sure.
Anne asked, she says, I still want to know how we can support Yoli. So I think, remember when I said early on, we must start writing, especially to the Daily Maverick. You can say that you were on this podcast, mention what was said here, mention that you are concerned. And if everybody can do that, because I mean, this really happened, because what will happen is they will probably reach out to me because, you know, it's my TikTok account. You can say that, and then I can put them in contact with Yoli. But like I say, the more people highlight this to them, because everyone told me the Daily Maverick is the best people to do it, because, you know, they also exposed with the bars and all these kind of things. They busy exposing someone who is in India or was doing some other thing here in South Africa. I don't know the details, but anyway, that's how we can help. And then for Yoli, if you really have issue with, if you get kicked out there, yeah, it doesn't matter that they're a bunch of paid crooks, but they get the job done. The Daily Maverick in this situation. We just want the information to get out there because none of us are going to get paid for it. It's just to get the information out there.
But
And then
Celeste,
for
one of
Yoli,
the
if
things.
anything, if you do get kicked out, you let me know. I will
But
arrange.
Celeste, one of the issues that Yoli can do, and I'm happy that Gret is here. Gret is very good.
Okay.
One of the things that Yoli can do once she gets to be removed, she must have a TikTok 10 minutes chat. That thing will fly like red cakes from the shelves. Once you do a TikTok thing and say, I was in Orania, this is what was happening to me, and then I was removed. That thing will fly.
Yes.
You know,
Once
and I
you
think
get removed,
Gret,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
you can we also let Gret speak? Because I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
he has been on this thing, he had us talking. Gret, how are you?
And then we have to go at 10 more minutes. Hi,
Yeah.
Greg.
Gret,
How's the grad?
Sorry, I'm good. How are you guys? Except for NYC.
good.
Oh, I actually didn't hear anything that was said about Yoli or what Yoli has shared, so I don't know what input I can give on that. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no, then it's
Oh,
cannot have him
okay.
speak
You
because
missed a
everything is
lot.
about no, then I cannot have him speak because I need to stay this
Yeah.
focused on Yoli. So Anne asked, thanks, Greg, but you can listen to the next part because I think you can still be helpful. So Anne
But hold on,
asked,
but this is the reason why I would like a live to happen, because that way nobody's getting paid, nobody's getting incentive from nothing.
yeah, but
And
if
that way
you
we
know
can hear the
what is
truth.
happening, then you'll know that everyone know. I think nobody here wants to get paid because it's about helping people. Okay, let me just read what Anne said.
Exactly.
Anne said,
Let's get
can
those
we
people
go
on. Let's get those
to-
representative at least. I've been replied that they said they will give us a representative and must give them a date. So
that guy earlier on, is it NYC?
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
They want to be paid.
No, they want a date.
They want
Okay.
a
They want a
okay,
date.
Yoli, when are you free?
I don't know who the representative is. I'm hoping it's yours
Yoli-
or Carl. But I doubt it's any of them.
Well, if it's either of them, then I would like to have more citizens of Orania join us
Okay.
so that you can hear the truth and their experience out of their mouth as well, and not just me telling you. And I've given the evidence, and
Let's not
let's
screw
hear
this
the
up.
voices.
Okay. All right.
Yoli,
Okay,
does Celeste have more information? Because we can also go through her posts and see what does she have there. Maybe also
my
that
information is different from Yoli's. Yoli is approaching it from the experience of living there, all the human rights violations and things like that. Mine is more
Oh,
to do
okay.
with the law
Oh, okay.
and our constitution. Mine is more like which
Oh, okay.
nobody
So
wants to
Yoli
talk
will give
about.
us the
Nobody.
experience of the horrible things that are happening in
No, that's
Orania,
Yoli.
and
Yoli
then
is
you
the
will deal with
experience.
the legal part of it.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay. I will follow.
Because
Maybe
I
Gret
just want
can
to
also
ask
do that.
questions. I just want to ask, what license do you have? What does the Constitution say about when you have that kind of license? How many businesses do you have? Do you have schools? Do you have or clinics, whatever? Because all of that has to have a business license, operational license. And then if they have operational license, they know that it has to adhere to the national laws, which it doesn't. That's all.
Are they even allowed to do what they're doing
No,
as Orania?
no.
Because we are all of us here in the country are talking about, is Orania even a legal Orania?
Yes,
How
they're
is
not
it
allowed
allowed?
to. If we look at our
Yeah,
constitution,
no, it is.
our
Preserving a
laws,
culture, yes, it is. People are very smart.
it is
And,
not
and, and their
allowed.
clinics and their schools and everything.
Yes,
But it's not allowed
and if they have
to
clinics
refrain
and
someone
schools,
from education because
yes,
of the color of the skin. That is not allowed, guys.
yes,
I'm not going to say it here because it's the truth. That is no.
So,
That's a
it's
no, guys.
so and the when I see, if you are saying my radius as a child to be in a school is something like 15 whatever radius from a school in Orania, I have the right to go there because the constitution says that.
Yeah, so exactly. If you live within the radius, you are allowed. You're supposed to go there. Where else are you supposed to go?
Oh,
You must go there.
wow.
But yeah, it's not. It's not allowed,
And
guys.
we do have And we do have farmers around us that is not part of Orania who has got colored workers working for them. Their kids are not allowed to join the school here.
Yes.
They're not allowed to come here.
And racial exclusivity is not allowed.
In
It
the
is
country
in our
anyway.
constitution.
It's allowed
in
when
the
it comes to preserve a
bylaws.
nation, but not when it comes to education.
No, it is in education. It's everywhere. I've already done all the research. It is everywhere. It
Yeah,
is
she just
not-
said the colored
because
kids
I even
can't join
asked,
the
I said,
education system.
I want to buy property and I want to build a school for only black children. Okay? And
Okay.
then they said, oh, it's going to be a bit difficult because, the bylaws, blah, blah. Then I said, okay, I want to buy property and my property is, I only want it for the LGBTQ plus community. They said it is not allowed because
God.
it's discrimination.
there.
I just made up stories just to see what I can do. I asked people of Orania for the school there. I said, I'm Afrikaner. Every Afrikaans educated. My father's Afrikaner, blah, blah, blah. I didn't, then I said, can I join the college there, the Technicon? They said, oh yeah, you can, blah, blah. Then I said, oh yeah, but by the way, I'm colored. I'm still waiting for the next email. It hasn't come back yet. But because everything else is true. So it doesn't matter, this is the thing. People like NYC, this is what happens. You all will want to try to one-up everything. Instead of just go and look at the Constitution, stop making excuses. Look at what
No, I'm not
what
making
the laws
excuses. I'm saying you
are.
can't
That's
educate
all.
children
Look at the
without
law.
denying the others. I'm saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I say.
But I'm saying
Look at the
Orania
law.
is operating under the 1 4 or whatever act that they're trying to preserve a culture, which is
Yeah,
fine.
no, the
But you cannot.
self-determination, and they are also wrong. Self-determination, I even read it here for everybody, how it works. It's only language and culture. And even if it was other things, it has to fit it has to conform to within the framework of the Constitution. So
Let's say
I even
they
made an
get that right.
example.
They still
I
can't
made an
deny
example.
education to
If you're
other
Muslim,
children.
sorry?
They still cannot deny education to other children.
Yes,
They
I know,
cannot do
that's what
that.
I'm
There's
saying.
no law or fuck all like that you can't deny other people to education,
All the
whether
human
they
rights
built it or
law.
not with their own money.
You can't racially exclude. That's just what it is. Yeah, that's all. And the thing is, it's not. I want the Afrikaners to self-determine. I want anybody to self-determine. But it must be. We cannot allow our government to undermine the institution. This is my whole thing is not against the Orania people or Orania. Mine is against the ANC. For the corruption that is going on here. Because this is blatant corruption. Blatant. That's my thing. I've got nothing against the Orania people or Boere or Afrikaner or Dutch settlers or whatever also they want to call themselves or what you want to call them. I have nothing against these people. My biggest issue is that our constitution is being undermined, not respected. Corruption, that is the thing. And many people don't see that. They want to complain, oh, the ANC is bad, they're doing this. But when it comes to Orania, it's fine, the ANC is good, they can do what they want.
Yeesh.
I don't understand that.
Mic drop. Okay, Celeste. No, thank you very much. I'll go now.
Yeah, and
And
okay, I think we should all go, but please, like I said, try to do your part by reaching out to the Daily Maverick. You've been here, you know what's going on. Just say what was going on here. That's all.
yeah,
Because people need help there in that place. We can see that. And Yoli, thank you so much for being so brave.
Can I say something?
yes, great.
Okay, great.
Sure.
Can you guys send me details? Because I've said it many times here on TikTok. If there's really a white oppression, it's the white oppression of women in Orania.
Yes.
That's the real and the only white oppression in South Africa. We know how oppressed women are in Orania. There's many people who wrote books on these things.
And
White
it's
ladies
oppression
writing
of
books
poor
on these things.
people. Yoli
That-
just said it's
exactly.
oppression of poor people.
100%. So please send details to me. Let's escalate it with the HRCSA. You guys can see how the Human Rights Commission is putting fire under those Tudulas. By the work of moi, I'll take the credit for it now. I've been putting fire under the HRC for that thing. So send me the details. Let me speak to the commissioner and get them to investigate that thing properly in Orania, because unfortunately, you guys can say it's not allowed. It is allowed. It's been happening for almost 30 years.
Yes, but it's not
You can
allowed.
say over and over that it's not allowed. It is even legalized. That's how much they've been doing it.
But
That's
Is
it's
the
it
not.
unfortunate
legalized?
truth.
Is it legalized or is just a
No, it's
precedent?
not. You
I'm
can
saying,
it's
No,
not
yeah, it's maybe
legalized.
only
I don't
precedents.
have
When I
that.
it's
say,
It's not
allowed. There's
I
no
just read it
gray
out
area. It's
earlier. It is
allowed.
not
Finish
legalized. I
car.
just read it.
so
It's
you
not
guys,
legalized.
stop, don't crash out. I'm saying
No.
it's been going on for so long that
It's
it has become precedence. That's what Jacqueline is
Precedents,
saying.
yes, that's what I'm
yes,
Yes,
saying.
yes, yes.
and no one would ever challenge it in court because they don't want anyone who's involved in it doesn't come out and speak against it. You
Yeah,
understand? But at
yeah.
least Human Rights Commission SA is over even Orania.
Mm.
So they will go and have to investigate in those things. So
So I think Yoli, maybe
But
you
Grads, what are you attacking? Are you attacking the schooling situation, which is the actual problem here, or you're attacking
No, I think he's
the
just
whole
talking about
situation?
the state
yeah.
has
Okay, I think
and the
Yoli and
discrimination
Brad,
and
can
all
you
that.
guys
So
follow each other, and then maybe Yoli, you share everything you shared with me with Grad. Are you okay with
yeah,
that?
red, yeah.
Let me speak to Yoli. Are you okay with that?
I'm perfectly fine with that. And just to everybody that has tuned in and shared the conversation with us, is from my side a great, huge thank you. Thank you, Celeste. I
You're
just
welcome.
feel finally
You're
that
welcome.
we are moving in a direction where people are hearing, not just listening, and that we are only starting now. We are starting, and I think it's a move in the right direction because I do believe in equality for everybody. I'm not a racist. And if there's one thing that I've always warned people is that if you want to see the wrong side of me, is do something unrighteous or unfair in front of me, because then I don't care if it costs me everything. I will stand even if I do it alone.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
thank
And
you
I
to
think on that note,
everybody.
we let Yoli have the last say. We'll stand by her. You're not alone. Well, I definitely am standing with you. You need to, I don't know how to connect her and Grad now because he left.
I don't know. Didn't you see Gred's handle?
I saw did you see his handle, Yoli? Okay, I'll try to find it and I'll share with you. You and
Yeah,
him
just
together,
type
everything
that
I have,
Gred.
you send to him because he will
Yeah.
work on that side. Okay? So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Yoli. But of course, I'll see you in our message.
Thank you, Yoli. Thank you, Celeste. I will
Yes,
follow
thank you,
Yoli. Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Thank you for being here. Okay, good night.
Bye-bye.
Well, in my case,
Bye.
good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Yeah. Rainbow.